Hey there, Leeroy.
Yeah.
We got something going viral, buddy.
What do we have that's going viral?
It just hit 1.2 million, and it's a Trump video. We've gained, let's see. If you take a look, we've gained about 1,000 subscribers today. So it's going to be clicking all night, which is really cool. Welcome to the Don't Unfriend Me Show. Good to have everybody here tonight. Leeroy and myself are going to be covering the leaders' debate in Canada. Should be a good show. We're going to dive into some Canadian politics. Our good friends up in Canada shared the link. I was freaking out because they're like, debates tonight. And then I went and searched it, and everything said 22 hours ago. I'm like, what the hell? Well, you guys always do things weird up there. So you guys do a 2-part debate. So maybe it's even 3 or 4 parts. But either way, I finally figured it out. I've got it playing in the background. It starts in just a second. And we should have it 100% live for you in just a second. So we will see you in just a hot minute. We're going to give it an hour. Hopefully this goes really well. If it doesn't go well, we're going to jump the hell out of here like a hot maple syrup on a biscuit and start covering some other topics. But if it goes well, we'll stay here and we'll go from there. Good to see everybody. We're covering some Canadian politics tonight. Make sure you share it with your Canadian friends. Because you guys aren't going to watch hockey because there's no chance you're going to win the Stanley Cup. So you might as well watch this. We'll be right back.
That's bold.
It was bold. It was very bold. It's something I don't do. I never trash talk during the season. I probably cursed myself. I should shut up. Wow, that was fast. What a great intro.
Adjusting transmitter output.
This is the Don't Unfriend Me Show with your hosts, Matt, Leeroy, Amy, and Olivia. Geopolitics, military analysis, and election coverage. Coming to you live on all major social media channels at The Dumb Show. Honest, direct, unfiltered. We can agree, we can disagree. Just don't unfriend me.
Hey, everybody. Matthew Spear from the Don't Unfriend Me Show and Leeroy are here tonight to present you the debates. And with no further ado, we got to get right to it because they are officially introducing.
And also thank fellow leaders for their service to Canada, people at home for taking the time to watch. I just want to underscore the premise to your question because I think
Okay, so I'm going to bring it back a little bit, and I'm going to give you guys, we're going to have probably a couple-minute delay. I don't imagine that they're going to have commercials, but they very well may. So just to give you the high level, so everyone is on the same page, you're like, who are these people? I will just give it to you the best way that I know how, which is the straight poop. So here it is. You're going to have Prime Minister Mark Carney, who was put in and installed because Trudeau's a douche. He's the liberal, liblab. You have Pierre Poilievre, he's the conservative. I believe it's Jagmeet Singh. He is the NDP, which sounds like the non-disclosed party or the non-distinguished party or the narcissistic dickhead party, one of the two. And Yves-François Blanchet, he is from the Bloc Québécois. These are really important things.
I understood.
Was it flawless?
It was beautiful.
So whenever we have a problem with what everyone says, we have to say, okay? Good.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see how many of our listeners who are attuned to our take on politics, how many of them can pick up on another country's debate and kind of decipher which ones lean left and which ones lean right.
Yeah. It's going to be fun. This is an interesting thing. I mean, it was between this and getting a vasectomy. So I said, well, let's just do this. Here it is. Let's watch it.
Well, welcome, leaders. Good to be with you here tonight in Montreal for what I'm sure will be a memorable evening. Our first theme is tariffs and threats to Canada.
Oh, boy.
We will begin
Donald
with a round
Trump.
of questions.
Oh, right
you will each have a minute to answer, and then we'll go to open debate. And the first question goes to Mr. Carney. Okay, what is the starting point for negotiations, Mr. Carney, with the United States if, as you have stated, our relationship with the U.S. is over as we know it?
Well, first, Steve, may I thank you and also thank fellow leaders for their service to Canada, people at home for taking the time to watch.
Shut up.
I just want to underscore the premise to your question, because I think the relationship that we've had with the United States, relationship over the course of almost the last 4 decades, which has been one of steady and increasing integration, has fundamentally changed because the president is looking to fundamentally restructure the trading system. So the starting point has to be one of strength. It has to show that we have control of our own economic destiny, has to have a clear plan here at home to build this economy, to diversify our trading partners with like-minded countries, and also has to have a position of strength in terms of our reaction to the U.S. unjustified tariffs. And that's why we have put in place counter tariffs that have maximum impact in the United States and minimum impact here at home.
Mr. Poilievre, would you do anything differently?
Wait a second. So tariffs actually aren't paid to the consumer? Oh. So
Matt,
let me get this straight.
question.
Yeah,
I got a
go
question
ahead.
here.
Sure.
My
Okay,
big
good.
question is, I'm being told all the time that tariffs only raise the prices for the consumer.
Yeah, I
but
just said that.
But if that's true, then why are so many countries fighting it?
Yeah, why are they putting
Why
on
do
their
they
own
care?
tariffs? Well, obviously, they just want to raise the prices for their people, too. They don't want to have the United States just get on the action. It makes sense. It's all good fun. Let's screw the consumer over in every country, right? I mean, because that makes
I
sense.
guess so.
Yeah, it's good. It's great. All right, well, that's cool.
Well, first of all, thank you, Steve, and thank you to our fellow contestants here today. It's an honor to be here. What would I do different? Well, I'll start by what I would do the same. I think we do need to counter the American tariffs with our own to deter this economic aggression. We must make clear that we will always be sovereign and independent. What would I be doing differently? Well, we need to be in a position of strength.
Okay.
The Liberal government has weakened our economy with anti-energy laws, red tape, and high taxes that have driven $500 billion out of our country into the United States and made us incapable of shipping our resources overseas. That weakness threatens our ability to stand up for ourselves. So what would I do? I would cut taxes, red tape, and approve our resource projects so that we can get our goods to market and bring home the jobs, so we stand up to President Trump from a position of strength.
Isn't it amazing how strength never involves building your own military? You know, I mean,
We're
isn't that
just gonna,
interesting?
we're going to consider strength just to be that cuddle up motion that you get, like when your girlfriend, boyfriend. Only
Right.
this time it's the United States.
We're going to
That's
disconnect from the United States and all of their corruption by allowing them to continue to protect our country by having more strength. So you're going to what? Not build your own army, but invest in the U.S.? I don't understand. It's confusing. Now listen,
Completely lost.
it's okay. It's okay. I like Pierre.
Mr. Singh, you get the next question. Can we trust the United States to work with us on matters such as Arctic sovereignty and defense policy?
I think we've seen, first of all, good evening, everyone, and thank you for tuning in, and thanks for the question, Steve.
Did he have an accident?
We've seen what, for a lot of people, feels like a betrayal when we look at the United States. I grew up in a border town. I grew up in Windsor, and we saw how connected we were as a city and as a community. People lived on one side of the border, worked on the other. People traveled back and forth all the time. We're in the automotive capital of Canada, and we knew how important it was to be able to build cars in Canada, but we saw that those cars went back and forth across the border. Seeing what Donald Trump...
Is he a Sikh?
I think he's a Sikh, homie.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
did to attack...
That beard just looks a little radicalized to me. I'm just...
He's
I don't know. I've heard some things.
All right.
I've heard some things.
Canada in this
I can't
unprovoked
invest
way
under that.
without any justification.
Not
really
that
felt
type
like a
of
betrayal.
radicalized.
And so Canadians now are right to say, well, we don't really trust Donald Trump at this point, and we can't really have a lot of faith in him. So when it comes to our Arctic sovereignty and our security, we need to make decisions that are in our best interest
text me her name so I
and
can
no
look her
longer
up.
be so dependent and so
Look her up and
reliant
send me a
on the
link on
U.S.
her.
And that's what I would advocate for, making sure we are resilient, independent, and less dependent on the United States.
Monsieur Blanchet, for you, what supports would you want to see for industries affected by
Blanchet,
tariffs,
that's how you say it.
many, of course, of which are in Quebec?
Many of them. First, be all welcome in Quebec and Montreal. You have me.
Oh, so here's the French contingency. Oh, God. You know, I mean, seriously, can't we just move away from the French? Can't Canada find its own identity? Can't you guys deport them or something? You know, like we're trying to do with Mexico. Can't you just like send the French back? and their bourgeois asses and just like
But
kick
who
them
would
out?
make the croissant?
I don't know. Somebody could do it.
Oh,
I'm sure.
ho.
Maybe we could bring in the Danish. We could have a tapestry. Oh, crumpets. Bring in the king and country. I mean, since you guys like monarchy so much, maybe we can bring in England. You know,
Right.
hey, love, go ahead and make some tea and crumpets. Sounds fantastic.
Because
the
I
Queen
try
on our
not
money,
to
too.
speak English in Montreal.
Marmalade. It's for the birds.
However,
I know that's Australian, but it doesn't matter. It's the same thing.
I think we should never underestimate the threat that Mr. Trump poses on Quebec economy and Canada economy and Mexico economy.
Oh.
But we must acknowledge the fact that the economy of Quebec is built
Yeah,
differently.
I know, Gloria. We said he.
The challenges are not the same.
I know. We said he was a sick. He's yeah. Yes, we are French. Well, not all of you.
I'm French. I've got some French in me.
You've got some black in you too.
Yeah.
So you've got so not all of Canada claims to be French. I mean, you're not like you have your own sovereignty, right? Just because you guys recognize France and the monarch, you're not a French country. You have a lot of French people there. But you're not
Right.
French.
It's definitely woven into the fabric of Canada, but that doesn't mean
Right.
that the entire country is French, right?
Yeah, but like Montreal and Quebec and Toronto are predominantly French, right? A lot of us aren't. Yeah, and a lot of us aren't. A lot of us aren't, Gloria. You know what I mean? So, and I'm not Canadian, but I'm an honorary Canadian because I love hockey. In fact, I'll put my knowledge against anybody who in Canada. My point is I don't think you guys need with all due respect, don't take this the wrong way, okay? I don't think you need a frog as your leader. I think you need a Western cultured, Western civilization focused, non-globalist nationalist. I think you need someone who loves Canada, who will stand up to Trump when they need to, who loves your country, who wants an independent Canada from any outside source, have your own military, reevaluate your government as far as socialized medicine and how it works, and is it truly a benefit to every Canadian? Take a look at overall your policies on the right to bear arms, even though it's not necessarily framed that way. You need to look at people who are all about individual rights, who are going to empower the Constitution of Canada and the civil liberties of every person in your country, not to be identified with France. Trudeau tried that. He tried the globalist way, and I believe it hurt Canada. That's my thought. But I don't think you guys are all French. I think it's time for Canada to be what we know Canada can be, which is an intelligent, smart partner to the United States. And we need to get past this trade war crap and these tariffs and get to a place where we are stronger together as Western Americas than we are apart. That's my opinion. Or you guys should just become the 51st state, one of the two.
The necessity for Quebec.
Anything that we're missing here, Leeroy?
No. I was interested to hear what he was talking about with the sovereignty in the polar region. Yeah, and what really kind of rung my ear on that one is who the hell is exactly fighting for that area? Like, is that in debate? Now, I don't know the answer. Maybe it is. But if there's a territorial dispute, please, if anybody knows about that, throw it in the comments. I'd love to hear it.
Yeah, and we have a ton of Canadians here. So, listen, we're Americans. We're fairly ignorant, but that doesn't mean we don't have an opinion. Of course we have an opinion, even if we don't know anything about this. We're American. We have a right to have an opinion. That's just the way this works. You don't, we do. Okay, cool.
To have at least partly
Folks, if you don't know, we're kidding. You're going to have to get some thicker skin on this show.
its own voice in the negotiation is important. The difference between Quebec and Canada is very important in terms of economy, but also in terms of identity and language and values and who we are and the way we want to handle immigration. So we have the right to be different. And if this difference is being respected by whoever becomes Prime Minister of Canada, we will be reliable partners in order to achieve the best possible negotiation and protect ourselves and our economies as partners.
Which party is he?
That's a great question.
Is he
Just by
Bloc Party?
just by the way he was talking, it does sound as if he's got a little bit of a right-leaning kind of take on it. But
Sounds like a
that could be
libertarian.
that could be wildly wrong, because every one of their speeches so far seems to have that right-leaning tinge. And that made me think about American politics and how we always make everything sound.
Yeah, well, he sounds like a libertarian, if anything. Is he Bloc Party? Is he a separatist? Is this the Reform Party? Who is he? Because I got everybody else on lock. I've got it.
Yeah.
But tell me who this guy is.
See, Monsieur Blanchet. Okay, we now move into open debate, and I'll start it off, Mr. Carney,
Bloc.
with you, and
He's
then we
separatist.
go from there. Do you still support dollar-for-dollar tariffs, even if they ultimately threaten Canadian jobs and businesses?
No, and in fact, we've already moved off from dollar-for-dollar tariffs. We have to recognize, and I think we all do, the United States economy is more than 10 times the size of the Canadian economy. And the principle
So's our military.
in terms of our counter tariffs is to have maximum impact.
Hey, Carney, that's not the most important part. So's our military, homie. And don't even get me into population. I mean, we pretty much 10 times everything. Penis size, too.
The United States, as I said a moment ago, minimum impact here. So we have to think about the impact on Canadian businesses. I'll give you one.
Okay, so people are saying he's Bloc, which is more leftist.
Okay.
And Wismer said libertarian. Is it like a Lippin's stallion? Libertarian, I understand. Libertarian, is it like only like libertarian and mouth only? So he's a lefty. He's a leftist. He's Bloc Party. Okay, so he's Bloc Party.
Right.
The guy, the Sikh is a part of the NDP, right? And what is the NDP?
Let me see if I can't dig that up.
See if we can find that out. National, what party? National Democrat Party? National.
Yeah. New Democrats. We are Canada's New Democrats. Yep.
So they're socially progressive. Okay, so he's a progressive douche plow, so we don't want this guy. Then you've got Carney, who is just a lib-lab wannabe Democrat who is going to play middle of the road, but is a douche. And then you've got Pierre, who is Poilievre, who's right. Not alt-right, but right. Okay, good. Now we've got everyone identified. Let's rock and roll.
Example, if I may.
New Democratic Party, progressive socialists. I get it. All you got to do is just tell me the name and I can figure it out. I got it. He's the squad of one. Like he has the rest of the squad members up in his turban, right? They're all in there. Rashid Tlaib, Ayanna Pressley, AOC, they're all in his turban. I get it.
In the auto sector, the way we've designed those auto tariffs is that Canadian automakers, if they maintain production here, if they maintain their investments here, when I say Canadian automakers, I mean automakers that have jobs and plants and production in Canada, then they can have lower tariffs on what they ship to the United States. We create a huge incentive
Leeroy,
for them in order to do that. We
of.
also have carved out the Canadian auto parts sector. Last point, I know you're pressed for time. The Canadian auto parts sector, so that it can remain competitive.
Bro, I've already educated myself on Carney. I don't know if you think Democrat who runs middle of the road and is a complete bleeding heart liberal is an endorsement on this show, but you might as well say that he's got the HIV. Yeah, we've done our research on him. He's a douche plow.
With the United States, we're focused on maximizing Canadian jobs, maximizing the harm in the U.S. So that we get them where we need them.
Mr. Poilievre, you want in, then Mr. Singh.
Well, Mr. Carney, you claim that you want our country to respond with strength, but after the last decade, half of which time you've been Justin Trudeau's economic advisor, our economy is weaker than ever before. It's been the worst growth in the G7. We've lost $500 billion of investment south of the border. You supported blocking pipelines in Canada that gave Donald Trump and the U.S. a near monopoly over our energy. And now you want to keep in place Bill C-69, the liberal no new development law that blocks us from shipping our resources overseas. How could you possibly think it's a good idea to give the Americans a continued monopoly on our energy projects when you have seen how much these liberal policies have weakened our country over the last decade?
Let Mr. Carney respond, and then Mr. Singh.
Sure.
If I may, yes. So let's go to my record. My record is a month long as Prime Minister. And this goes to the heart of coming to the Americans with strength, but doing the right thing for Canada. Within the first week as Prime Minister,
you have to own it.
I sat down with all the premiers of the provinces and territories, as well as the leaders of the Indigenous peoples. Got an agreement with all the provinces and territories, doesn't happen very often, got an agreement for them to have one Canadian economy instead of 13, first point. Secondly, to commit the federal government to do its part by Canada.
Elizabeth, lay off the peyote, okay? Seriously, thanks.
Day. So free trade in Canada by Canada Day. Thirdly, the federal government to commit with respect to project reviews.
The question was about pipelines.
I'm getting to it. Thirdly, one project, one review, and relying
That's
on
provincial.
provincial. Yes, it is possible on our system.
No,
it is
not.
the
It's
impact
banned
assessment.
under C-69.
It is agreed on under the impact assessment framework, and we have a cooperation agreement with British Columbia already. We're looking forward to them with the other provinces. We will move forward.
Gotta let you. Okay, Mr. Singh's turn, please.
Of course, we agree around having a strategic response to the United States. But what I'm concerned about is what we're doing here in Canada. We are already seeing threats to our country in that just the threats alone of the tariffs have meant Canadians have lost their jobs. The threats of the tariffs that are in place right now, the impact of those tariffs is that we've lost jobs in steel, aluminum, and the auto sector. People are already losing their jobs. And while, Mr. Carney, you had time, as you mentioned, not very long time, but as Prime Minister, you showed us your priorities. The first thing you did is you had traveled, you made a tax cut for millionaires, which was reversing on the capital gains. So you gave a tax cut to millionaires, but you didn't have time to increase the amount that workers get on EI. Right now, workers who are struggling and wondering, what am I going to do if I lose my job? Workers who've lost their job are saying, how do I pay my bills when EI only covers half of a worker's salary? Maybe 40 years ago that would have worked, but right now most workers, their entire salary just to pay the bills, to pay their mortgage and their rent, and to put food on the table.
Bobby.
So EI is not good enough, and it shows Canadians that you didn't make it a priority to protect those that are impacted by these tariffs, that are threatened because their jobs are lost.
We have not heard from Monsieur Blanchet yet in this segment, so please.
Yeah, Mr. Carney, you are becoming a real Canadian leader, saying one thing in French and another one in English. You said in British Columbia in February that you would force oil and gas through pipelines through Quebec, either we wanted it or not. You would use emergency powers in order to do so. And 2 days later in Montreal, you said that you would never do that without the approval of Quebec. What's the point of using emergency powers if you do have the agreement of Quebec? However, I do agree with you. It's important to be very strong in front of Mr. Trump. However, I would keep the dollar for dollar policy. Don't be weak in front of Mr. Trump. And those counter tariffs have to be targeted. You have put out already $2 billion for Ontario auto industry, car industry, and the lumber industry in Quebec has already paid to United States.
This is like second nature for me because I grew up watching Patrick Roy, so this is easy. Like listening to Patrick Roy and his interviews, I feel I'm a French Canadian. I'm just FYI. This is like clockwork for me. I've spent enough time on the ice with enough Canucks that this just feels like a pickup game, to be honest with you.
Billions of dollars, and you have not raised one finger in order to help us.
Let's get from Mr. Poilievre and then a response from Mr. Carney.
Well, Mr. Carney refused to answer the question about pipelines. Just the other day, he said that he doesn't necessarily think we need to build pipelines. Let me tell you what that means. Right now, the Americans get 97% of our oil, 100% of our natural gas exports at big discounts. We have to send Canadian oil from Western Canada through the States just to get it back to Quebec because we don't have a pipeline. And now there's this law, Liberal Law C-69, which effectively bans pipelines. The 14 biggest energy and resource companies say it has to go if we're ever going to build another project. And I asked Mr. Carney why he would keep in place this anti-pipeline law that effectively empowers Donald Trump to have a total monopoly on our single biggest export. Why would you not repeal this Liberal law? Isn't it because you are exactly the same in the same line as Justin Trudeau and the rest of the Liberal team that is now making up your cabinet?
Let's get a response.
Well, let me pick up a couple of points that have been made. The first thing I did as Prime Minister was to cut the carbon tax. That's the first thing. Second thing is made a commitment that all proceeds from our tariffs will go to workers and those companies most affected. There were several points raised.
Nothing so far.
If I may, Mr. Steve, if I
Please.
may address, I'm trying to do it quickly because several points raised. All proceeds go to workers and the firms most effective, and those proceeds are considerable. Third thing, I'm interested in solutions. I'm interested in getting energy infrastructure built. That means pipelines, that means carbon capture storage, that means electricity grids. And here's how you do it. And we've already moved in the first month. Cooperation agreements with the provinces. Guess what? We are a federation. You need to cooperate with Quebec. You need to cooperate with the provinces. You need to get First Nations and Indigenous people buy-in. You can do that through the one project, one review window that we put in place at that first ministers' meeting, as well as, if necessary, using emergency powers to fulfill the federal responsibility, but not the unique.
Mr. Poilievre, you want to come back on that?
What you're saying, Mr. Carney, with respect, is
How about you answer the question, Carney? I mean, seriously.
No, he's dodged 2 questions that I can track so far.
3. Go ahead.
Okay.
Which ones? Tell him.
Oh, the first question was one he dodged from Mr. I'm going to hack up that name, Mr. Poilievre.
Poilievre.
Whatever the hell. So he dodged his first question, and then this one just now.
Yeah. Well, he dodged the question on strength. He dodged the question on energy, and then he dodged the question on tariffs. The guy refused to answer anything. I mean, and hopefully Canada can see right through this.
Contradiction. The No New Development Law, C-69, guarantees there will not be one-stop shop because it requires the government of Canada to actually duplicate the same project.
Have no regulation.
Have one-stop shop.
Mr. Singh,
over any energy.
Mr. Singh, we just got to let him finish his sentence. Let's just let him finish his sentence.
That is not true. In fact, Mr. Singh, the reality is we should have strong rules enforced once. We shouldn't have multiple levels of referral that takes now 17 years to get a major project approved in this country. That is why in the last 10 years we've had the worst economic growth in the entire G7. We cannot afford a fourth liberal term. We need a change, and the Conservative plan for a change will include repealing the anti-pipeline law so we can get our energy to markets other than the United States.
Mr. Singh, then Mr. Carney.
While these two compete about who's more pro-pipeline, I think what we need to do is, I mean, it's clear. The Liberals bought a pipeline. They built a pipeline. I don't know what Pierre is complaining about. That's what they did. I think what we need to do, if we're talking about energy in our country, we need to build an east-west grid. Let's use our power as a nation to build a national project that creates good jobs, that strengthens us for the future, where we connect the low-cost energy from jurisdictions and provinces across this beautiful land and have low-cost energy for businesses, for people, so we can build a stronger economy. That's the energy of the future that we need.
Mr. Carney.
3 quick
God,
points.
it's like listening to a bunch of Americans. Who's going to pay for it, dude? You know?
Right.
I mean,
And in the meantime, he's going on and on about making all of this extra money from a natural resource that they already have. However, he wants every regulation in the book thrown at that project.
Right.
So in essence, stifling the progress that he's advocating for.
Right. It's stalled. It'll be stalled in perpetuity.
Right.
Yeah. And here's the thing. I've already noticed that this is a tag team. The mad Pakistani or Indian is with Carney. They're together, and then bourgeois over here, all the way over to the right, is kind of kissing Poilievre's ass. So they've obviously. Last night, I wish I would have seen who was in the proverbial corners of whom, but whatever, they've redirected. Maybe someone can tell us last night, were these the same teams? Because I heard Poilievre had to be a lot more, less argumentative and more polished and direct with his line of questioning and comments. Sounds like he's doing that. He's needling a little bit, but that's the way I'm seeing it early on.
Built, yeah. TMX built. That's why oil exports up 50% over the course of the last few years. Secondly,
I don't think
Mr. Singh is absolutely right about the east-west grid.
See?
Grid interconnections, which is part of the energy corridor. Huge opportunities for
politics
us.
are politics,
to be able
folks.
to do more than
Carney
one
and
thing.
Singer.
Third point, fundamental point. We can give ourselves far more than Donald Trump can ever take away. If we have one Canadian economy, not 13, and if we just look at that agreement we got with the provinces, look at what Ontario and Nova Scotia have just announced
There you go,
in terms
buddy.
of their steps towards this.
Donnie
is
Rumsfeld,
within
dude.
our grasp.
I see it.
Monsieur Blanchet, what should we be prepared to concede in our negotiations with the United States?
I want to be back to something that Mr. Carney said. You can't do something and
Get
the
this down.
opposite, and you can't fill people's mind with nonsense. Quebec has, by law, its own environmental review institution, and you cannot, through a federal decision, even through a Quebec government decision, go over the BAP, as we call it. If the BAP says no,
Just say.
it's no.
I know.
Good.
I know,
Let's
but this
keep
is
that in mind.
This is the point. This is, if I may, this is the point. The federal government can do the following, which is to take the decision to abide by the decision of the Quebec BAP. That is within the federal government's power. That is known as cooperative federalism. That's what we need to
And
do.
do you
in a-
understand
this
one
is
other
what-
point
This is
fast?
what we need. This is what we need to do in a crisis.
Brave Moïse and then Mr. Poilievre.
Yeah. The building of those pipelines will take at least 10 to 14
Leeroy.
years. Mr. Trump will be 90 years old, not president no more.
might-
And somebody,
try.
of course, less terrible will be there before you can even dream of having oil through this pipeline of you.
Is less terrible like less miserable, less les miserables,
Less
less
Blanchet.
terrible, less terribles?
We're less than
I can't wait to see that. Is that the sequel to Les Miserables?
It's called less
Less-
GDP, less oil, and less like less freedom. Fucking hang it.
So, Mr. Poilievre, I promised you next.
Listen, after the last 10 years of liberals blocking pipelines and killing jobs,
Sounds wild when you
we
say that.
actually
Sounds like-
actually need to get things
100
done.
cents.
We need a change, and our conservative plan for change will repeal the No New Pipelines law. It will create a true one-stop shop, set up shovel-ready zones with pre-permitting so that we can approve LNG liquefaction export plants, mines, pipelines, nuclear plants, and also
said no to
hydroelectric dams so that we can generate the power we need to be strong, self-reliant, and stand on our own 2
Can I-
feet for a change.
Last quick word to Mr. Carney.
Okay, quick word. Bringing it back to what we were talking about, which is tariffs, the threats to Canada,
Say it in French.
how to negotiate. We need these options. We need these options to build domestically, to build one Canadian economy. We need to act. We need to diversify our trade partners.
And that is
will
our
give us
time in this
strength to
segment.
the US.
That is our time. Okay, you know my job tonight. I got to be the heavy guy here every now and then, making sure it comes to time.
look-
And I'm keeping an eye as well on making sure that
If
everybody
I'm not mistaken,
tonight, I got to be the heavy guy here every now and then, making sure
it looks like the PM is leading in time. Let's listen.
We need these options. We need these options to build domestically, to build.
everybody comes to time. Everybody comes to time.
We've
And
got
I'm keeping
Come on.
diversify our trade partners.
And that is
will
our
give us
time in this
strength to
segment.
the
All right, Prime Minister. Hey, thanks, Joanne, for the $10.80. I'm so happy that we're actually broadcasting in Canada, which means that they're not throttling us, and that's good. Right now, it looks like the Prime Minister Carney, the installed PM, is at 5 minutes and 30. That's a pretty big disparity. Looks like Poilievre is 4 minutes and 44, so he's got like a 45-second a deficit, and then Bourgeois is 3, and then the Mad Sheik is 3.
Separate Singh and Blanchet.
That's about all they're with. So interesting. Let's go ahead and move on from here, folks. If you've not had a chance, we are a 100% free channel. We don't charge you to watch us, but we do need to make a living, and the best way to do that is to donate. We accept PayPal. We accept Venmo, and also if you want to mail us something. And we love our Canadian friends. That's why we're doing this tonight. You're not going to see this on America channels. You're going to see it here. Why? Because we care. We care about our gay North Dakota, and we want them to be safe and free.
I looked this up just for a point of reference. If you were to add up the entire cost of every nuclear carrier that the U.S. has, it would total about $1.08 trillion, whereas the GDP of Canada, the entire GDP of Canada, is about 2.1 trillion.
Yeah. There's like if Canada ever wanted to have a war, we would just we would basically send in Montana, North Dakota, and South Dakota. Now that's all we'd really need to do. Everyone else would go on shore leave. So no offense. We love you guys though. We really
Maybe a
do.
rapid pack of dogs, maybe some New Yorkers. Who knows?
Right. Just throw some Levi jeans and some Barry Manilow CDs over the border, and you guys will be right as rain. Here it is.
And Mr. Poilievre, you get the first question this time. Many provinces, including some provinces with conservative governments, have ambitious housing targets, none of which have been met. Why do you think your housing plan will be any different?
Let me start by talking to the young people of the nation and those who are aspiring to home ownership. You know, it was only 10 years ago you could buy an average house for $450,000.
Only.
But in the last lost Liberal decade, housing costs have doubled, rising faster than in any country in the G7. And so now our youth cannot afford a home, and our seniors are worried about being evicted. We can't afford a fourth Liberal term of rising housing costs. We need a change. And our Conservative plan for change will, 1, axe the federal sales tax on new homes. 2, incentivize municipalities to cut their construction taxes to bring houses down in cost by $100,000. 3, sell off federal land for homes. And 4, train up 350,000 young trades workers who can help build those.
Hey, Leeroy parked. He's got a little libertarian in there, Leeroy.
Yeah, I like what he's saying. That'd be my guy.
Leeroy got a boner. I don't know if his
Poilievre's looking pretty damn good.
I want to pull on his Poilievre.
Because you deserve a home, and we're going to make it happen for a change.
Also on the issue of affordability, Mr. Singh, you get the next question. How do you bring down grocery prices in the midst of a trade war?
You go into the first grocery store and you clack a vest and you go, Akbar. The wrong guy. See, I'm they're all Mexican.
We need to tax the supermarkets more. We need to impose more tariffs specifically on them. We need more
government control, pricing, and on shipping and receiving. All goods will have a replenishment tax set back to the government.
Down the red tape, and I think.
And then if they do not do this, I will kill them because they're infidels.
I appreciate the question. This is a big concern. When I talk to Canadians, they tell me they're really feeling squeezed from the cost of living. That's one of the top things that people tell me about. People are saying, I can't afford to buy groceries. Every time I go to the grocery store, it's just ongoing worry and this feeling of anxiety. Can I actually afford the things that my family needs? On top of that, people are worried about the cost of homes. I think those are the two biggest things I hear. So we can do things about this. Other countries have taken concrete steps. We can put in a price cap on food essentials. France has done it. Greece has done it. To great success. It's brought down the cost of food significantly in both those.
You mean France and Greece in open rebellion in the last decade? Are those the two countries that you're bit? Greece, a civil war inside Greece,
federally
and France.
Prices. Right,
yeah.
Got it.
Listen,
how authoritarian of you.
Listen, when I go ahead and I want to focus on who we should model, excuse me, hold on a second. My hat, I get catching a crosswind at this stage. Somebody must have the AC on. It's definitely going to be France and Greece. I wanted to do Bali, but nobody knows where that's at. But that's
kind
of turning
good, but we don't have their environment.
What about Bosnia? Does that speak to anybody? Bosnia, is that the one we were looking for? Syria is up and coming this year. What the fuck? Greece.
We can also ban corporate landlords from buying up the affordable homes to keep homes that are affordable. We can make things better for Canadians, but it requires having the courage to take on the powerful corporations that are ripping you off, that are price gouging you. And we know that price gouging is one of the major reasons why food prices are going up. You're never going to hear Pierre Poilievre or Mr. Carney talk about the fact that these are the corporations
ripping you off. Thank you, Mr. Singh. That's time. Mr. Blanchet, I want to ask you about old age security, which will soon cost this country $100 billion annually.
Wait a second. You guys call it old age security?
I love that.
You guys are dicks. I mean, how could you say that to your silver foxes?
So old, man.
I mean, old age security. I mean, just like that, I wouldn't vote for any of these people.
Isn't that old age security? You, Jimmy.
When do you guys have
that hockey stick?
Do you guys have pushing 6 feet under security too? I mean, I'm just wondering. 1 foot in the grave security. I mean, just different levels. It's kind of instead of like silver, gold, and bronze, it's like 1 foot in the grave, brain dead vegetable grandpa.
They don't
You guys
call
are
it life
horrible.
alert. They call it a death warning.
Life alert. I mean, we even call it social security, which is just beating around the bush that you're old. But you guys just straight up say it, tear off the Band-Aid. Holy shit.
He wants to
We
issue
understand you would
everyone
like to
who's above
expand it.
60 a
How
wheelchair.
would you pay for that?
We would want it to be just for everybody because the Liberals have created a discrimination against elders which are 65 to 75 years old, having 10% less income from federal government than those who are over 75. But the best way to do it is to have everybody pay its fair share in terms of tax.
Oh, here we go.
One should
I love that.
This is where the Lib Lab comes out. Fair share. It's such a great word. You guys can't say Social Security. You say old age, but then you cover it up with fair share. You mean anyone who makes more money than you must pay more taxes. That's what you're trying to say, which means everybody makes more money than somebody. So therefore, everyone, all taxes are going to be raised. Give me a break.
be entitled to hide money in fiscal paradise in order not to pay him or his clients or friends, not to pay billions of dollars in taxes that could be used to help the situation of elders. Those are things which are supposed to be applied to everybody. There are a lot of questions to be answered about that. Other ways to do it is to reduce the pressure on housing price to make sure that the whole budget of elders and families and workers can afford houses which...
Hey, can I take a stab at it, please, Canada?
Yeah, I'm all ears.
How about we go ahead and renegotiate our lumber deal with the United States and have them make an open investment into our housing market? And we can go ahead and use construction workers who are not working to help the United States and us, since we have a lower supply of construction workers than they do. But they have some unemployment issues going on in some of these areas, especially along the northern states. So let's go ahead and outsource some of this construction work and bring it in to do some training, hire contractors, and we can work in a co-op together to build more houses, and we can incentivize, and then we can lower the cost of lumber, but also go ahead and find a good use for it in the United States to help Canada with one of their natural resources. How about that? You know what that's called? It's called letting the free market work.
Or, Matt, and just hear me out here, right? You can go the other direction. They are having so many issues with their old people tax that, if we just, showed them a little movie called Soylent Green, that would take care of that problem.
Maybe we could, that's what we could do. We could send up Dr. Kevorkian's son, and they can start helping these people to the beyond, to the next era, and you'll have more homes available. That's a better idea. I like it.
Look, all I'm saying is if there's no old people, then there won't be an old people problem. All right. I didn't realize he was...
All right, Matt Demo, I apologize, man. I'm getting riled up with Leeroy. We missed your donation. Olivia reminded me. $20. She's like, I think Matt's new. No, Matt's been around for a bit. He joined the subscription group. I've seen you contributing. So, Matt, we appreciate you. Thank you for the $20. I'm sorry I missed it, but that's why we have family here. I was getting a little fired up making fun of the Canadians. So here we go.
Have increased dramatically in
Merci,
price.
Monsieur Blanchet. That's time for this one. Mr. Carney, I want to ask you about housing, which over the past decade has gone from a problem to a crisis while the Liberals were in power. Is your policy on getting homes built any different from your predecessors, and how?
This is one of the reasons why I entered this contest, because of the housing crisis, the cost of living crisis, the housing crisis, and the Trump crisis to help fix it. And I would say, look, the housing.
Hey, we've got a little thing called HUD housing here. It really does wonders for your neighborhood and property value. We'll go ahead and call you and tell you all about it. It's called Section 8. You guys will love this stuff.
Different because we need a fundamentally different approach. We need to build housing at a rate that we haven't seen since the end of the Second World War.
So you need
workers.
workers.
Need a fundamentally different approach. And with the fundamentally different approach, we can build an entirely new industry. So the question is how? Now, Mr. Poilievre and I agree on some things. Okay? I agree as well on reducing the tax on first-time home purchases as a way to buy. But I am focused on increasing the supply of homes.
Yeah, I just said
doing that in a way that uses Canadian technology and modular prefabricated housing, that uses Canadian lumber, including in reinforced timber, and uses Canadian workers. And in all...
See, folks, he's got 2 out of 3 of what I said. but he's missing the prefab bullshit, which creates extra technology and people who actually need to learn this. It is a technical thing, and it is not easy to do, and it's very expensive to get the upstart for those systems. 3D printing houses is a technology. Prefab homes is a wonderful technology, but you have to have the people behind it to do it. Have American construction workers come up there and train your best and brightest. Train the people who aren't going to have a 4-year degree, but who want a vocational trade. It's going to create small business, and you need to deregulate. The cost of nails all the way to the frickin' roofing tile. You need to deregulate construction and incentivize them with tax breaks in order to build more homes. But you need people to teach them, and that's where your friends from the South go up to gay North Dakota and teach you how to build a fucking house, eh?
On top of that, thank you, Kevster, $10.80. Thank you, brother. On top of what you just said, Matt, the deregulation, right? The tax breaks. Something that was already mentioned was, hey, let's sell some federal land, right, to private investors in order to put these houses. You do those three things, you're not going to have any housing issues.
No, Tuner says, so we need mass numbers of immigrant workers. That's not what I said. You bring up the top 20 construction companies and subcontract them to come up and train and assist your workers to be foremen, to be contractors, to lead operations. You incentivize. You guys are 1/10 the size of the United States in every facet. We have an overabundance of construction workers, but we also have a serious issue with lumber. Donald Trump doesn't want the lumber from Canada. He has slapped a tariff on you guys, and now you're sitting with a shit ton of lumber. This is a great opportunity for you to go to the United States and incentivize the U.S. to help send construction workers, the Army Corps of Engineers, and anyone else you need training from to do a year stint up in Canada and then get the fuck out. Give them a visa, let them come in and train, and help develop your construction infrastructure in Canada. It's not that big of a deal, but it's a win-win for the United States. But this requires conversation and ingenuity, something I haven't heard on this stage outside of Poilievre. That's it.
Scaling up to double the rate of home building.
Thank you, Mr. Carney. That's time. We now move to open forum here. And Mr. Singh, you get the first comment.
You obviously don't have people who can build because you're not building them. That's what I always hear with ideas. People are like, oh, we have that. No, you don't. If you did, you would be building houses. You either have over-regulated the industry where contractors can't make shit. Okay, you either have driven up the price of material, that's why the prices, or you've made the lending practices of the banks so incredibly poor that the interest rate has driven out all investment from the marketing bubble, because that means the houses aren't worth what the banks are lending, which means it costs more money for the construction workers to build it, which means there's more risk if we foreclose. This is what happened in the United States during COVID. So you say you have it, you don't, or you wouldn't be having this problem. Go ahead, Leeroy.
The government's main responsibility when they are calling out for a crisis like this is to respond and create an environment at which that industry can flourish. One of the things that Matt has taught, three of the things we've already touched on. Something else, though, not only the lumber, not only the land, but things like the tradespeople. Matt had touched on it. Also, what is the pay? Is there a I don't know the answer to this. Is there a minimum price or a minimum wage that is supposed to be imposed in Canada? And is it too much for a lot of the small business owners to kind of take on en masse because the cost of labor would just be too high? I would be curious to know about that. If you're in Canada and you know the answer, please drop that in the comments below.
I bet you this. I bet you materials are through the frickin' roof in Canada. Yeah. I'll bet you $1 billion to 1. And that's what's driving the margins down for the construction workers. And then they're over-regulated. So it takes too long to build, from permits to zoning laws to everything else, because Canada sounds like a socialist haven. And with its influence from France and the monarchy, it doesn't surprise me. All right, let's go.
That's fair.
You have played.
By the way, here's a breakdown. There, United States, here are Canada, more relaxed and collaborative, still productive, but there's a bigger emphasis on work-life balance and breaks. Here we go. Wages, slightly lower gross pay than U.S., but more consistent across provinces. Better job security and more benefits thanks to stronger labor protections. Unions very strong. Here we go, union dues. Especially in provinces like Ontario, British Columbia, and Quebec. You won't get on a job site without a red seal or a union backing in many areas. There you go. It's slowing you down there. Yeah. Safety. Strong safety culture. CSA standards and provincial regulators enforce strict guidelines. Diversity work. Few mega projects, but solid union resident commercial work, less volatility in the housing market. Immigration and labor force, more regulated, skilled trades required certifications, and there are programs to fast track immigrants into trades. Overall cost and margins are significantly lower than the United States, and that's why. Because it's over-regulated. I just named all those things right there, and I can tell you about the U.S., U.S. does too much, where we cut corners. We have way too much foreign influence with immigrants coming in and working. Diversity of work, it's more specialized here, which means you have to have 17 different contractors, one for cement, one for electrical, one for plumbing, one for frickin', oh my God, and roofing. The unions are strong, but the unions don't over-regulate the builds. It's actually the permit and the inspectors which run the building industry here and slow it down. And the work ethic is the more time we take, the more money we make, which is horrible outside of what Canada's going through. So there you go. Merry Christmas. Let's break it down for you.
Cut the GST on many aspects of buying a home. And Mr. Singh, I want to ask you, would you cut the GST on anything else in order to make life more affordable?
Absolutely. In fact, I'm the only one on this stage that fought to give people a GST holiday. Interestingly, while the GST holiday helps working class folks, middle class folks, by taking off the GST off essentials, the Conservatives under Pierre Poilievre voted against that. They oppose the idea of giving people, actual folks that need help, a tax break, and would rather give millionaires a tax break, which shows you whose side he's on, which is not surprising. But what is surprising is that Mr. Carney also said that giving people a break on their GST is a bad idea. Mr. Carney, why do you think giving it?
Tuner, you say it's not different, but I just read to you the national stance, and that's from OSHA, and that's from the trade unions. So that's both Canada and United States reporting that I just gave you. And those are the differences. And they are honestly very different. So I'm just letting you know the United States is slow in its production because it does not necessarily, it has more hoops to jump through. But once you frame a house, you're sitting around and waiting for an electrician, a plumber, and other tradecraft to finish your home. So sounds like you guys got your unions in line, but it sounds like your material cost is out of whack, and it sounds like your labor cost is out of whack, and it sounds like you guys are more worried about diversity hires and your diversity of work, where your tradesmen can't become certified outside of the province that they're established in. If you can lay plumbing in New York, you can lay plumbing in Texas. If you can run a 120 or 220 power in Maine, you can do it in Florida. Sounds like you guys are over-specialized and can't jump from province to province. So if somebody wants to move from Quebec to Toronto, it sounds like regulation stops them from being able to continue their tradecraft in another province that they're not qualified in. And it sounds like your guys everyone does a little bit of everything. Well, what that creates is a disincentive for people to do odd jobs like running just electrical. Because when you have a GC, sounds like you guys have a lot of general contractors. They do a little bit of everything, but no specialization, which makes it even tougher to get a specialized project done. So if you have someone who's laid the frame and laid this and laid that, and all they need you to do is come in and run HVAC, you have to find a specialist, which is going to drive up price. Listen, you guys, I've been studying Canada for about 15 minutes, but you know me. This isn't hard for me to listen to these guys and identify the issues that they're having. No. I'm not saying that Canada's worse. Go ahead.
Because the failed policies, we've already recognized when a politician imposes a policy here and it fails miserably, it's not that hard to speculate that, a similar policy in Canada is also going to tank. Of course. And so everything that these guys are talking about on the stage has already been revisited here in the U.S. It's just that people aren't willing and or able to compare that. Mostly
Thomas says, Thomas is saying, well, it's costing me $24,800 to build a granny suite with 3 bedrooms on an upper floor. It would cost me more if I use lumber. And I just explained how Canada can use its overabundance of lumber to work out something with the United States. Maybe you do co-op lending. Maybe your national banks go ahead and start partnering with our banks. There's got to be at least 0.3 of a percentage point we can knock off of the 30-year loan in order to go ahead and subsidize a little bit of this. It takes trade. It takes negotiation. You guys help us with this. We help you with that. That's the way it should be, not this bullshit tariffs. Knock off the tariffs. Let's go to ground zero. Yes, we have a trade deficit. We don't care. You don't need a buffer zone because you're smaller. We're sorry you're smaller, but let us help in these situations. Let the United States assist. You guys, it's not like we haven't done this in other countries. The United States has been doing this for 75 years. You guys are just so effing proud up there, for God's sakes.
Break to capital gains folks that earn more than $1 million is a good idea, but helping a family afford their
groceries. So you're a Red Seal tradesman, and I can work wherever in Canada I want to move to. Then why is it saying that that's not true? I'm not saying that you're not true. What's Red Seal certification? How long does that take? Is that a 10-year? Is that a licensing? What is it? Let's find out.
I mean, I have to imagine those larger certifications like that is probably a several month process, right? And though it's just a guess, I actually don't know.
It's going to be more than a month, couple months.
Couple months, right?
Oh, geez, Louise. Okay, so this is what I'm talking about. God, it's almost like, you're being resistant just to be coy. Here it is. A trade endorsement added to your provincial territorial trade certificate. So everything I said was true. You need this in order to travel between provinces. No, I'm not taking a call right now. Okay? I don't have the phone number up. You can't yell at me. A trade endorsement added to your provincial territorial trade certificate shows you've passed the Red Seal exam, which tests the national standard for that trade. Allows you to work anywhere in Canada without recertifying. Okay, who can get it? People already certified in a Red Seal trade through their province, Journey Person in Ontario. After enough hours, usually 5,000 to 9,000 hours, you qualify to challenge the Red Seal exam. You don't even have it. You don't even get it by osmosis. You get authorized to take the exam. There are 50 Red Seal trades: electrician, carpenter, plumber, welder, heavy equipment, HVAC, cook, all the things I just mentioned. You get more job opportunities, more pay required. So it's a 10-year type thing, and then you got to test out for it. It's 100 to 150 multiple choice questions, covers safety codes, tools, theory, job site. Pass mark is typically 70%, it's 30% attrition. If you don't have a Red Seal, you're stuck working local under someone else's ticket with it. You're certified boss anywhere in the country, and you are restricted to the guidelines or that province of that district. So,
Damn.
That's easy to say when you say to me, oh, yeah, well, you know what? You just got to join SEAL Team 6. And then once you go ahead and do that, you got to go, through interrogation. You got to go through CIA. You got to go through the farm. You got to go through this. You got to go through that. You got to go through this. All you got to do is become a SEAL. And you'll qualify for dive pay, hazard pay, combat pay. So that's all you got to do. All you got to do is become a SEAL. Well, that's a lot harder than you're making it out to sound. 5,000 hours of anything, assuming that you work 40 hours a week, right? So, and you go ahead and work 40 hours a week. Some contractors probably work more. Let's just say 55 hours a week. 55 hours a week. And you work 48 weeks out of the year, right? Okay. So you're going to times 4 by 5 is 2,000 hours. Just to qualify to take the test. At the low end, it's 2.5 years. At the long end, it's double that. It's 5 years. That's not fast tracking.
A lot of investment. That's not
a ton.
Easy.
You could be you could be. You could literally be doing your stint as a doctor your first year out of med school in that time. You could be practicing law in that time. So you could be a master electrician, plumber, whatever else in the United States. Within that time, you could do any job you want. You could be a foreman, for God's sakes. You could be a superintendent in a 4-year stint. So that's not quick. That's not easy. Mel, you can call in now, hun. I'm sorry, but I'm getting fired up over Canadian politics. This is good shit. I know people want to watch this. I'm getting fired up though. You guys got me into this stuff. Here it is.
People afford their bills for their internet, their cell phone, their home heating. Giving them relief to take the GST off those is a bad idea, but giving a tax break to people who really only earn over more than $1.4 million, that's somehow a good idea.
Okay, you went after
that's your numbers.
You went after Mr. Poilievre first, so I'm going to give him the first shot to respond.
Well, Mr. Carney, the reality is that housing costs doubled under the Liberal government, while Justin Trudeau made exactly the same promises that you are now repeating today. He promised that he would double home building. In fact, home building went down. He promised that he'd reduce the cost. In fact, it went up. And here we are. Mark Carney is asking for a 4th Liberal term, repeating the exact same Liberal promises that priced you out of a house.
I know, we hear you.
Just a few weeks ago, before the election, the Liberals voted against taking the GST off new homes. And they have continued to build up bureaucracies that block construction. We need a change so that you can afford a home. And our change will be, again, to axe the sales tax on new homes, incentivize municipalities to speed up permits, free up land, and cut development costs, train up 350,000 young people who can be in the trades to build those homes and sell off the land that is going to be needed in order to build homes. That is a real plan for you to own a home and afford your life for a change.
Mr. Carney, they're coming at you from both sides. What do you say?
Okay. I know it's...
Wow, it sounds like Poilievre just said exactly what I said. Am I wrong? I mean, Mel, isn't that what he just said that I just said? Or did I miss something? That Leeroy...
No.
Okay.
No.
What are we missing?
You're not missing anything. I'm just finding it hard to type and respond to, say, like Tuner and whatever. Tuner's not wrong about red steel. I have red steel, but you have to have proof. You have to have paper proof. You have to have whatever. And like you said, it's 5,000 hours. It's not an easy process. It takes forever. Nurses, doctors, it goes right across the board. It's not even just carpenters, electricians, or whatever. It goes right across the country. Each province that you move to, if you have a nursing degree in Ontario, you can't take your nursing degree to BC. You have to do the whole whatever, go on probation, rewrite tests, like the whole 9 yards. It's not easy to move across the provinces to work in this country. Like, it's just literally almost impossible. And going with that is we have trade tariffs in our own provinces. Ontario can't sell wine to BC, so they can, but they pay a tariff. And BC pays a tariff if they want to send their wine to Ontario or Quebec or whatever to sell. Or goods from Alberta to Saskatchewan. Like, each province has tariffs on their goods that are moving between provinces. We can't even get along, like, whatever. And this country is bitching about tariffs from the states. How about dealing with the fucking tariffs that are going on in this country?
Yeah.
Amongst the provinces? We can't move goods amongst ourselves.
Yeah, it's interesting, Mel. Raw Lou is on here, and he's from Canada, and he says the United States of fascists. I don't know, man. I've been watching your politics for about 35 minutes, and I'm going to say you guys got fascism down pretty fucking well. Sounds like you're projecting there, homeboy.
Sounds like you can't make a move in Canada without the expressed permission from the government.
Yeah, so maybe you should go ahead and send in a chit to see if you can wipe your vagina tonight from Trudeau. Oh, I'm sorry, Carney, the other guy they installed. What am I missing? Anything else, Mel?
Obviously, that guy's in route for Poilievre.
Yeah.
Actually, no, you're hitting it really good, Matt and Leeroy. It's like, it is. We shoot ourselves in the head, the foot, the ass, the whatever, all at the same time, and then try to blame it on everybody else, whatever. It's just, it's sad, it's tragic, because we could do really well here. And like Carney, he won't, Singh goes, oh, well, Liberals bought a pipeline. Well, yeah, Trudeau bought the pipeline and stalled it for 5 years, so nothing got finished or whatever. Like, it's this game of smoke and mirrors.
Yeah.
And the people down east can't find their ass with both hands. And that's the biggest problem in this whole election is it's controlled by 3 cities, like I said to you, for the last, 4 years, like whatever. We're screwed. Like it's just.
What are those big 3 cities, Mel?
Toronto, Quebec, and Montreal.
Okay.
Vancouver,
Toronto. Yeah, Toronto, Quebec, Montreal.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, and see the Bloc
Ottawa?
Quebec. Well, Ottawa is like Washington D.C. It's screwed. Like it is. Like I said, if you just put something in between Toronto and Ottawa and whatever, we'd be great.
Well, that's why your hockey team's called the Senators. I mean, they're destined to stab each other in the back and fail.
Exactly.
Go ahead.
So you're nailing it like 99.9%. Yeah, you've got it. Like
good.
And I knew that you would, but yeah.
All right,
so
we're gonna.
I just want to ask one more question. So between Toronto, Quebec, and Montreal, like most of the oil comes out of Alberta, right? I assume you guys still drive cars up there. Does that mean that they impose tariffs in between those major provinces, even between like Alberta to Montreal or Toronto to Alberta? Does that happen?
Well, no, Quebec won't let the pipeline go from Ontario to New Brunswick where the refinery is.
Oh, no way. So you guys got to ship it manually?
Yeah. It's got to go by rail car.
Fucking way. By rail car?
Yeah. And back in the day before this EB and whatever got in, the premier of BC, she was a liberal, Christie. She was taxing the oil coming through the pipeline from Alberta to get to the port to put it on the ships to send it across the pond. So, like I said, it's an inbred fighting shit show within this country to move goods. Oh yeah.
Why doesn't the United States? Why doesn't somebody go ahead and get an ultra right or district and go down through Washington and cut across North Dakota and Idaho and go all the way to the East Coast and like run a pipeline to Nova Scotia and circumvent all this fucking shit?
Well, Alberta
and you guys have
wanted
to,
that.
And you have to pay the United States some sort of tax and just run it through our pipelines. This is stupid.
Well, it's so incredible. Like it's really hard to believe, but it is. It's true. It's fact. Like you can go and Google all of what I've just said.
I don't have
whatever.
to. I believe you. I mean, who would make it up? I mean, I'm just learning more about Canada, and I'm like, no wonder why they're trying to take your guns, because an open revolt is around the corner the way it sounds. I mean, do they ask you for your papers when you have to visit your cousin or something?
Well, almost pretty much. Like, yeah, you can't take booze across each province line. Like if I go from here to Alberta, I'm not supposed to have any booze in my car to take it to Alberta or take Alberta or go to Saskatchewan. I can't have whatever because, you're importing. And I'm like, I'm driving through the goddamn province. I'm going to Saskatchewan. Oh, no, you can't because
liquor across state lines. Smokey and the Bandit style. Look at you.
Oh, fuck.
Bound and down, man.
We're so archaic up here. It just blows your toque off. Like and that's why I've enjoyed your show for the last 900 years, because you're a breath of fresh air and it gives me time to go, oh yeah, so screwed up here. Like it's just, and it's frustrating. And that's why Alberta's been trying to break away.
Okay. All right.
For 20 plus years.
I'm going to interrupt. So you smuggle liquor across the provinces. So,
allegedly.
Allegedly. So I'm gonna. Here's gonna be your handle. I'll be like, hey, this is Smokey. You got your wheels on. You're like, this is the White Witch of the North. I'm doing. I'm doing 125 on the. I don't even know what the fucking freeways are there. Interstates. You don't even have interstates, do you?
No, we have gravel roads and potholes.
That's what I was gonna say.
Yeah, but
I'm on Turkey Creek 1.
Well, up until about 20 plus years ago, all the booze in this country was governed by liquor board control. So when they went on strike, people would move booze across whatever, and trucks were getting stopped, whatever, because were moving beer and whatever across provinces to get it, whatever, so people could have booze. But that got changed, and then they opened up. You could have private liquor stores. So now the LCBOs, the liquor control by the government, is kind of not as powerful as they used to be, but they're still pretty, because all these independents get their booze from the government liquor store. So
My God.
like I said, this country is so, well, you've said it before, we're so almost fucking communist. It's incredible. Like we're one step away.
But we have highways. We have highways through towns of 500 people. And you guys got a highway going across your country, an interstate, man. You know, like 16 lanes of traffic going northbound and 16 lanes of traffic going southbound. That's what I'm talking about. An interstate.
I know. I've driven. I lived in California for 8 months, whatever, in Victorville for a while. Whatever.
I didn't know you were in Victorville. Holy crap! All right.
Yeah.
I got to let you go, sister. I got to raise some money on this show. We love you.
Thank
You're the
you,
best.
Mel.
Yeah.
You're awesome.
See you, Mel. All right. We love Mel. She is our good friend who makes up. Folks, I got to take a quick break. I know, listen, if you thought we were going to watch this and not commentate and just let you watch this, it's not what we do. We believe in, if you want to watch this, you guys got it up there. I'm sure they allow TV up there somewhere. Maybe there's Radio Free Canada or something. I don't know. But we're going to commentate. But we got to do a quick spot. Folks, if you want to donate to the show, thedumbshow.com/donate, a great way to do it. We also have great hats and shirts. One Leeroy's wearing, I'm wearing. We got Wimkin hats over there. We got coffee, the Constitution, so many great things. Go over to thedumbshow.com and take a listen and take a look. And trust me, you will not be sorry. We'll be right back in 1 minute.
The Dumb Show is built on real conversations.
We got over
Raw,
275
unfiltered,
people
and
on.
fearless. Big Tech didn't like that. Facebook pulled our funding, tried to shut us down. But for over a year, you, our incredible viewers, have kept us going. Your support, your donations, your time, it all matters. Most of you spend 10 plus hours a week with us. Compare that to Netflix, maybe 5 hours a month. We believe we're worth that time. And we hope you do too. But listen, we don't want giving to feel like a burden. We want it to feel good. So take a second to ensure you're in a good spot. If you're in a place to give, that will be amazing. If not, just liking and sharing helps more than you know. Visit thedumbshow.com/donate. Whether it's PayPal, Venmo, or mail, every bit helps to keep us going. Dumb Nation. We appreciate you more than words can say.
Reason the guy has a pink thing on his head is he's sick. He's wearing a turban, so it's part of his religion. He basically looks like a bearded what's her face from the Squad, Island Omar.
Omar, yeah.
She looks like Island Omar's brother. Isn't that her husband? Something like that.
It's the same. It's the same person.
Yes, same person, same one in the same. Folks, once again, we are at $93. We need $200 more dollars to hit goal, 207 to be exact. We're at the 8:13 hour. We're going to stay with you here. We're probably going to cover the debate in its entirety, or at least up until, well, we got to go. So if you haven't had a chance, please help out us. We take Canadian dollars too. Go over to PayPal, go over to Venmo, and
if your government will allow it.
Right. Go to thedumbshow.com/donate. Let me know if we have to pay a Hitler tax, and we'll take care of you. Here it is.
It may be difficult, Mr. Poilievre. You spent years running against Justin Trudeau on the carbon tax, and they're both gone. Okay, they're both gone. And we're in a good
impersonation of them with the same policies tonight.
Very different. Look, I'm a very different person from Justin Trudeau. Focus is
Why'd
on
you work for him?
results.
10 years.
So how to drive results
10 years you've worked
in
for
the
him,
housing
almost
market.
a decade.
You've got to change the model of building. You've got to increase the financing for housing developers. 25 billion.
Hey, I'm just saying, I've looked at the playoff bracket and I've already picked my sleeper. I'm just going to say, watch out for Toronto and Ottawa. Ottawa is a deep team. They are grinders. They clog up the neutral zone. They can slow down Toronto's top line. And if you want to get down to overall, they very much remind me of the Vegas Golden Knights in 19. They just got a bunch of second pair and second line, third line players, and they balance out. They're a good team. And they get hot on goaltending. Watch out, Toronto. I'm just saying, That's kind of my sleeper. And by the way, Robertson for the Dallas Stars went out with a huge knee injury. He was wearing a brace and wincing when he came out. Dallas Stars versus the Avs. That is not good. They lost their number one top liner.
Does
Go ahead.
Canada have a tobogganing team?
They do. They do. It's called the Wood Splinters. They are a national team. Yes. Yeah, it's good stuff. Versus, cock splinters, which are even worse. So
No, that sounds terrible.
those are not fun. No. Only follow. Yeah.
Also would, dildo. Sure.
It's called the Pinocchio effect. It's not fun, especially when you grow.
Don't lie to me.
Don't. It hurts. Lie to me, baby. I like the pain. Ruprecht, do you want the genital cuff?
I would rather jam a cactus up my ass.
Excuse me. May I go to the restroom, please? Why, yes, Ruprecht.
You may.
Thank you.
Dollars on the table for those housing developers.
Oklahoma. Ruprecht loves to run around in the open. Oh, my dog's
for
coming.
Deeply affordable homes.
Come here, baby.
Cutting development charges in half, lowering the cost of the building of those homes by 20%, and lowering the emissions and the run costs of those homes by another 20%. This is how you drive affordability. This is how you bring young people back into the housing.
Exactly what Trudeau promised.
You claim to be very different from Mr. Trudeau. Now, the point is to show that you are any better than Mr. Trudeau. You claim to have a lot of experience in many things.
Did I call it with the team up here? I mean,
last
it
time
looks
we
like
had
a tag
somebody
team.
saying that they knew things. It was a senator.
Somebody got promised to be in the cabinet.
The law that protected supply management because they knew better than us and were elected by nobody, exactly like you are today. You say that you are a great crisis manager. Which one? I heard of nothing. As far as I know, Brexit happened, even if you were against it. You say you are a great negotiator. What have you negotiated but fiscal power?
That's my dog's turban. Yeah. So can you believe the size, dude? Look, she's huge, dude.
She looks like she's taking up half the couch.
She's
When I
bigger
saw her,
than
she was
Hayden.
so puffy. Yeah.
I know. She's bigger than Hayden. It's ridiculous. Yeah. She can wear anything pink, that other guy.
This is in Bermudas or Cayman.
Can I just say, I like this Bloc Party guy. I may not love his views, but I love how he's going after Carney. Yeah, Bourgeois. Yeah, Bourgeois. Yeah, he's fantastic. Yeah. And everyone said he's left, but he sounds more like a liberal to me. You know? So I don't know. Maybe you guys have different definitions.
Yeah, definitely between Carney and Singh. Those are your authoritarians that are up on the stage. Between if I was Canadian, honestly, my vote might be split between Blanchet and Poilievre. Probably leaning Poilievre.
Well, he says Bloc hate liberals. Well, if they hate liberals, then he's not alt-right. So he's a libertarian, essentially. He believes in less government. He believes in a minimalist approach. If that is, then that's why Leeroy loves him. Let me know if I'm right. If he's more like a libertarian, a constitutionalist, someone who believes in less government, more rights, then that's right up Leeroy's alley.
You have to prove something, and you have to reveal what you own in those companies if you want people to believe you.
Mr. Singh, you wanted to.
Yes, returning to the topic of housing. Now, it's very important. Obviously, we need to build homes that people can afford. Mr. Poilievre had the opportunity to show us what he could do. He was the Minister of Housing under Stephen Harper. And during that time, guess how many homes he built? He built 6 homes during that entire time. This is not something you can trust to build homes. He built 6 homes.
200,000.
Oh my God, this guy reminds me of the Vivek Ramaswamy of the United States.
Yeah, a little bit.
Except he looks less stupid and he could grow a beard. Yeah.
Confirmed again and again. He built 6 homes. That's it. Now, the problem, though, with Mr. Carney is while he's laid out a plan, the problem is that when he was the chair of Brookfield Investments, this is a company that made a strategic decision to buy up affordable homes in cities like Toronto where people were paying a decent rent. And they purposely bought those homes, kicked out the tenants, and jacked up the rents. That is not someone you can trust, sadly, to deal with the housing crisis when Mr. Carney, you profited off of it.
We're going to get responses here. Mr. Poilievre first, Mr.
What
Carney
he
second.
means to say is that investors came in and
Mr. Singh,
hold this up to remind you.
the Toronto Star debunked.
Say it again.
I said what he means to say is that investors came in and turned mediocre housing into luxury housing, right, then try to justify their prices. That's what he means to say.
Yeah. Listen, Thomas, he may be an idiot, but he's tearing Carney up, and he's making Poilievre look mighty fine. So I don't care. So he basically is the Jerry Brown. He runs all the time. He's the Bernie Sanders. Who cares? Bernie Sanders did wonders for nailing the Democratic Party. He went after Biden hard. He went after Hillary hard. I found Singh's new idol. This is what he looked. All right, here we go.
No,
it was 6 homes, and
I appreciate neither Liberals or NDP are very good with math, but in that year, the year I was the minister, if I could,
which is great.
The year I was
let's let him answer.
In the year I was
high enough, though.
The year I was minister, we had 200,000 homes built, and guess what the average price of a home was at the time? $450,000.
And guess what happened at the end of the conservative reign?
One bedrooms rented out for $900, and that since that time, housing costs have actually doubled under the Liberals.
They doubled
and
under the Conservatives too.
Now we have Mr. Carney making tens of billions of dollars of spending promises that will ultimately continue to build bureaucracy. We don't need more bureaucracy in Ottawa. We tried that for 10 Liberal years, Mr. Carney. What we need is to build homes in communities.
Certainly
and that means axing taxes on home building and getting the government out of the way so that builders can actually build.
I think,
Mr. Carney, you are on housing. We need a change, and you, sir, are not a change.
Mark Carney.
I'm going to pick up on, I thought that answer was quite revealing. The first thing is that it's an attitude towards housing that absolutely ignores affordable housing, deeply affordable housing, issues with vulnerable people, ignores the rental market, ignores all other aspects of it. So the 6 are the relevant. Mr. Singh is absolutely right. The 6 are the relevant.
200,000.
The 200,000 are a different part of the housing market. There are many Canadians. There are many Canadians at different income levels. The second thing it reveals is a misunderstanding, I'll be polite, of how the government's balance sheet can catalyze enormous private investment. And that is what we need to do to solve the housing crisis. It happens to be what we need to do as a whole to address the economic crisis that's been forced on us by President Trump.
Mr. Blanchet?
Yeah. You have spoken much more than I have, so I won't ask a question. I will make a statement instead. I'm not saying that you cannot do what you pretend that you are able to do. We just have no proof so far. I'm saying quite clearly that you cannot be entitled to do it alone. You cannot be entitled.
Just want to let you guys know we have a confirmation with one of our groups that will be coming on for the May 16th show. We're very excited to announce the CEO and owner of A Right to Heal. Right to Heal is a veteran organization. They provide trauma survivors pathways to healing through writing, filmmaking, job opportunities, and apprenticeships. Lisa Regina is the founder and president. Wow, smoke show. And she will be on our show and cannot wait. She was in The Sopranos. She was in a few of the medical shows that we saw around the bend on ABC and a few others. But you may recognize her face. She will be coming on talking about her foundation. Very, very exciting, the work that she does. And I think it's just something that you guys are going to absolutely love. So let's get excited about that because that is coming to a theater near us. That'll be May 16th. We are doing our fundraiser. One of our great listeners, Chuck Pedersen, has offered to match up to $10,000 in donations, and we are building our home studio for that. We are so excited, but this is an amazing company. Jason Shepard has RSVP'd. Damani has RSVP'd an A-list celebrity who is, when I say A-list, you're going to just go crazy when you hear about this person. We're going to make sure that we also have quite a few more people. Barry Morgenstein's going to be there, and everyone is extremely excited. So we've just confirmed just now that Lisa Regina, founder and president of A Right to Heal, will be with us during that day. So mark it on your calendars. Let's make sure we're there because it's going to be awesome.
Hold all the power in your two hands. You cannot go out there and fix things for Canada and Quebec without being seriously checked by serious people. You cannot go out there and speak for Quebec without Quebec having its own strong voice to protect itself and to promote its different economy. So if you want to collaborate, let's say right now that whatever happens, even if minority government happens, you will be a partner with the different Quebec economy and identity, which you have been not interested in for the economic part. And
thanks for covering this, Matt.
not respectful for the identity part.
Let me
Have to give our southern neighbors a bit of insight what transpires up here. 103.46. My God. Thank you, Mel. We appreciate
so much,
you.
Mel.
Yep, $103 away from goal, Mel. Thank you for taking a huge chunk of that. We need it. Right now, time 8:25. It looks like Carney and Poilievre are gaining some ground. Poilievre is getting his time back. And then, of course, 2 seconds with Singh and Blazois. And
Yeah, only 2 seconds separated them before as well. That's interesting.
Yeah, so that's what their wife said. Here it is.
Mr. Singh, at this point, can you tell us what's the first thing you would do to make life more affordable for Canadians?
Yeah, there's a lot of things that we can do, and I've laid out some of those things. I think fundamentally, I'm the only person on stage that not only fought for real relief for people in terms of affordability, I'm the only one that fought for pharmacare that actually makes life more affordable by giving people medication coverage, dental care that gives people more affordability by letting them access their services if you're a senior and a kid. I fought for childcare to make sure people could afford child.
I'm thinking of breaking down and telling people who the special guest is. But just because I think maybe what we do is we announce it like a week before, because I think it's going to draw. Like, I think people trust me, but once I say it, I think it's going to have a huge draw. You and I'll talk about this. I mean, you're part owner. You get to decide this too. Co-founder is what we're going to say, because owner means that you're making money, and until that happens, I'm not calling you an owner, even though you are. You understand that. You have ownership share. But I gotta give you money first. I know you know, but I want to make sure you know that I know that you know. You know,
I know what you know, but I think I know.
But
I see you. Know.
All measures that Mr. Poilievre voted against, all measures that Mr. Blanchet voted against. So if you want someone that's going to fight for you in Ottawa to actually make life more affordable, you can't bullshit all the power to Mr. Bullshit. He doesn't have a track record of making life more affordable for people, but we do. So vote for a New Democrat, and we'll continue this work to make life more affordable for you. While the Conservatives and the Bloc have voted against those measures to make life affordable, because that's not who they care about, New Democrats are in it for you.
Pierre Poilievre.
Really quick, something that bothers me about that, and always has, is that anytime I ever hear anybody from the left who talks about trying to bring down the cost for everyday, the middle class, they always talk about price controls. They always talk about, extending healthcare to everyone, and they always talk about more government regulation. While they're talking about those price controls, and while they're talking about giving away healthcare and giving away childcare and everything like that, that all comes from taxpayer money. Right. So the only way for them to supply all of those services is to jack up the prices across the board, because there isn't enough rich people in Canada to soak up that cost. So the prices are going to everyone's prices are going to go up. Your taxes are going to go up. So while he's making that claim, the exact opposite is going to happen.
So it's almost like they talk about affordable housing, which basically means your taxes are going to go up. Is that what we're saying?
That's exactly what I'm saying.
Okay. Just want to make sure I know. What if I flashed a picture of a major hint of the A-lister? Do you think I should do that?
This will be just between Matt and I, but what? All of the hells.
Yeah. We want to decide if we're going to do this.
All right.
The question is do I flash a hint?
Yeah. Give him a hint.
And it's going to be a second. All right. That's it. That's all you get. That's all you get. That's it. That's it. That's such a good hint. It's a good hit.
Wow. The number one expense for families today is taxes, more than they spend on food, clothing, and shelter combined. This after 10 years of Liberal tax increases. We can't afford a fourth term of high Liberal taxes. And that's why Conservatives have a plan for change. And that plan includes
voted against every measure to help people out.
Cutting income taxes by 15% for the average worker and seniors, saving a working couple up to $2,000, rewarding hard work again. Because hard work is actually being punished. Is actually being punished because of the very high taxes Now, the Liberals promised 10 years ago they would lower them. They actually raised taxes on 9 out of 10 Canadians. We need a change in this country because your hard work should once again pay off with a powerful paycheck that buys you an affordable food, affordable home
You want to save
on a
people
safe street.
$2,000,
And that's what we will deliver.
You want to save people $2,000, but cut their dental care,
That's
which
false.
is thousands.
What's that?
I said all Singh is going to talk about is how, all you want to do is cut taxes for the rich millionaires. You just want to take care of your constituents.
Yep.
False.
Cut their child care, which is thousands of dollars. Cut pharmacare coverage, which is thousands of dollars.
False.
That's not a very good math deal right there. You're going to save people $2,000, but cost them tens of thousands of dollars. That's why you cannot afford conservatives, and you certainly can't trust the Liberals
Mark
on
Carney's
their own.
turn.
You need new Democrats.
Mark Carney.
I'm going to reinforce that point.
Folks, I just want to point out what the Iron Sheik has to say here. And listen, I know he's not a Muslim, okay? It's like Mexicans. I don't care if you're from Puerto Rico, you're from El Salvador, you're from Venezuela, you're from the Dominican Republic, you're from Mexico. You're all Mexicans.
As a brown person, I can say that all brown people share some commonalities.
But we're from Texas, man. They're all Mexicans. So here's what I'll say about the Mad Arab. Is you just said that conservatives are going to cost you money by reducing your taxes and how much they take away because they conserve your dollars and believe in less taxes and government. Right. Only a liberal.
That's going to cost you more, Matt. That's what he's saying.
It's going to cost you more to spend less.
I think that turban is wrapped a little too tight.
I think that giant hemorrhoid on your head is permeating your brain.
That might
Just
pop.
saying.
I'm just saying he's going to have to see a dermatologist.
It just looks bad. It just looks like just a giant
one of my balls.
It looks like Dolly Parton's nipple. I'm just saying, it's
working 9 to 5. Yeah.
It looks like something that only Preparation H can cure. Just saying.
I'll respond to Mr. Blanchet. Child care in this country, $3,000 to $10,000 a year for a family, depending on where you live.
Province, jurisdiction.
Depending on where you live, that's what's being saved there. $800 per trip to the dentist. We've expanded.
Hey, man, you shut up and enjoy your 6 minutes while my 10 minutes are talking. You understand?
Province, jurisdiction.
8 million Canadians. 8 million Canadians.
Because New Democrats.
Pharmacare. These are fundamental issues for affordability. We're talking about affordability and taking them off in order.
And that's why you need to cut
tax.
That's
Quebec,
not what I've said.
And in terms of
income taxes
working with Quebec
for Canadians,
yes, absolutely. Throughout the short time I've been Prime Minister, working directly with the Premier of Quebec, our Minister of Foreign Affairs, our Minister of Finance are from Quebec. Quebec and Quebec issues, whether it's
why
supply
haven't you answered
management,
Mr. Leeroy's letter? He asked 5 things in the letter.
The purple nurple.
He reduced his expectations.
We're talking about,
and you did not even answer him. And tonight, you are so much in love with Quebec.
Steve, the question that Canadians have to ask.
Why vote for conservatives?
He's got the Mr. Singh, sorry, he has the floor. Come on.
The question you have to ask is, after a decade of Liberal promises, can you afford food? Is your housing more affordable than it used to be?
There you go.
What is your cost of living like compared to what it was a decade ago? And are you prepared to elect the same Liberal MPs, the same Liberal ministers, the same Liberal staffers all over again for a 4th term? Mr. Carney,
there's your soundbite.
Justin Trudeau's staffers are actually here with you at this debate in Montreal, writing the talking points that you are regurgitating into the microphone. How can we possibly believe that you are any different than the previous 10 years of Liberal government?
25 seconds left in this segment for you to respond to that.
I do my own talking points. Thank you very much. The biggest risk we have to affordability, the biggest risk we have to this economy is Donald Trump. So first and foremost, we've got to get that right. Secondly, we need to do it in a way that brings everyone along together. That means preserve.
Canadians, your high cost of energy, your high cost of food, your ridiculous housing prices, your lack of jobs, overall world status on the geopolitical stage with a feckless leader like Justin Trudeau is all because of the last 84 days of Donald Trump in office. Prices of house 84 days ago were $1.25 per square foot.
Now they're $500,000
Your
because
gas
of the Orange Man.
was 12 cents a liter because you guys don't use, you guys in the metric system over there, you fuckers, I think. 12 cents a liter. Today, it's $4,700. And maple syrup used to be 72 cents a gallon. Now, you can't even, you don't do gallons, do you?
It's
another liter.
Yeah,
another
now
liter.
It's 41.
It's 41 francs. Or do you guys have the douche mark over there? What do you guys use?
I don't know.
The Canadian dollar? What do they use? Do they use pounds or francs or Deutschmarks? The Cougarand?
It's dollars, right?
It's Canadian dollars, yeah. Oh, my God. Your grandmother to bury her old ass after her old person's retirement check came used to be $12 in a garbage can with a Hallmark card. Now, 37,000 Canadian dollars to bury grandma. That barely covers her with her old person check. Is that what they call it? The old age check?
the old age benefit.
Tuner, why are you going to bed? This is perfect. This is great commentary. Don't go to bed, Tuner. Jeez, come on. How could you go to bed during this?
You know, I'd love to see these guys play around Monopoly and see how their strategies would play out. And watch Singh just have a meltdown when somebody buys Boardwalk.
Singh would buy all the railroads because it's like unions, electric company and gas. Those are free. You land on electric company, they're going to be free. But if you land on Vermont, it's going to cost you $47,000.
Up my 2.5 million barrels per day. What's wrong with you, Board Place Walk?
Every time you land on one of my properties, you lose a constitutional freedom.
Dental care, child care, reinforcing
or carbon tax,
spending our
intrusion in Quebec jurisdiction over and again. I like if we're any better than we are. Is there one thing Canadians can do that Quebecers cannot do? You are doing intrusions in our jurisdiction with our money, pretending you are better, and most of the time you try to copy what we did with our own money.
You know what? I've thought over the last few years that the United States is on the precipice of civil war. Let me tell you something. Canada is
These
prime.
guys are on fire.
If you guys had any guns, you would be dangerous. You know what I mean?
Throw croissants at everyone.
No, like seriously, waffles without syrup. You're going to shoot hockey pucks at each other. I love it. I love it. This is insanity.
Against us. What's that? As a policy, don't you have your own things to care about?
That really is time for this segment. I wanted to be polite and let everybody finish their points, but
far beyond,
we got to move on.
I took the liberty.
Thank you. Okay, that ends section 2. Up next, public safety and security.
Oh, this should be rich.
Fight crime, to protect Canadians, and to build communities that are safe, secure, and strong.
Keep crime, drugs, stolen cars, and other illegal substances out of our country.
We're going to invest in our borders, and that means hiring more border officers.
Resources are in short supply, not enough staff. This is not the nice way to treat people who come to our border.
Okay, same format, one-on-one questions and then open debate. Monsieur Blanchet, you get to go first in this one. Public safety and security. For a lot of people, that means the fentanyl crisis.
I want to hear guns.
To know what you could contribute to ending that crisis in this country.
The fentanyl crisis is a very serious issue, which is a bit less important in Quebec than it is in British Columbia. I think the whole border thing is the real issue. Immigration is a very important issue for Quebecers. Immigration has to be dealt with in an orderly fashion. Our borders are not dealt with in an orderly fashion. The rules are not respected. The rules are unclear. Some rules even invite people to hide for 2 weeks illegally before coming out. Some things has to be done. The situation of one person asking for asylum may take as much as 4 years without us reducing the number in order to deal with them in a human way. The services for every citizen in Quebec are being reduced because we cannot afford the fact that we are receiving.
Riley says, I think I have a 5-shot SKS, but I think that's about the best battle rifle platform they have access to. SKS is a great long-range sniper weapon. Nothing wrong with an SKS. I don't know about the capacity.
Much more people in Quebec from this specific type of immigration than we can afford, and we cannot teach them French.
That's time, Mr. Blanchet. We can, of course, return to the immigration issue during open debate, should you choose to.
Guns.
Mr. Carney, question for you. The Liberal gun buyback policy.
Oh, yeah.
Not considered a success by many people. Reviving it is in your platform.
Yeah.
Why would it work this time?
Yeah, I think, well, what we've seen with that policy is some success at the commercial level, but not at the individual level, because it hasn't been, in my
all the way to the
opinion,
left, Rachel, the handsome guy.
Properly, and it needs to be organized properly. And I've instructed the Minister of National Security and Public Safety in order to do that. So part of this is a different focus of government, a focus on...
Amy, who are you making fun of that you're upsetting Tuner? Are you making fun of Poilievre, or who's Tuner for? Breezebaugh? The burlesque guy? What's his name? Burmese sauce? What is it?
A focus on clear milestones in the short term. Let me make a broader point, though, on gun, which is that we have a problem with guns coming over borders, which is why we've tightened our borders. We have an issue, though, with a gun industry that is continually coming up with new forms of assault rifles, mass killing machines.
Oh,
We've
my
banned
God.
over 2,000 of these. Every single time there has been a vote in the House of Commons on gun control, Mr. Poilievre has voted against it. You can't be tough on crime unless you're tough on guns.
That's not true.
Poilievre, you can come back
That's
on
not
that
true
in
at
the
all.
open debate if
Say
you want to.
something,
But my question
Poilievre.
for you
Let's
in
go.
this segment is, Indigenous people are statistically overrepresented in our correction system. Are you concerned that your
No,
tough
fuck
on
that. Go
crime
back to guns,
platform
Poilievre. Nobody
will make
cares
that
about
worse?
Indigenous people.
I'm concerned that Indigenous people are disproportionately the victims of crime. I give you the example of a wonderful group of Indigenous people who came under attack in Saskatchewan, and many of them were murdered. Killer was out of jail after 60 prior convictions. This is the result of 10 years of liberal laws that allow the same offenders to be released dozens and dozens of times,
You're missing this
even
question.
when it's known they are a danger.
You're missing this question.
We can't
dude.
risk a fourth liberal term of soft on crime policies. We need a change.
Address the guns, dude.
And the Conservative plan for change will bring in a 3 strikes you're outlaw. 3 convictions for serious crimes, you go to jail for at least
Kamala.
10 years, maybe for life, no chance of parole or bail. We will bring in life sentences for...
So he's going with the Bill Clinton two-step with Hillary Clinton on the side. That's I mean, listen, Bill Clinton, that was just, well, here's the thing. If they can get the sentencing down correctly, then that's worthy. That's worthy. But what happens is you get charged and you get hit with a felony, and then they reduce the sentence, and then you're back out again. No chance for rehabilitation, no chance for being a productive member of society, and they just stack these felonies, and then they 3-strike these people.
Right.
These have to be a certain class of felony for this to work. But, you know, careful with the 3-strike policy. It wasn't very productive in California.
Traffickers of fentanyl, human beings, and guns, and we will secure our borders to keep the illegal
Thank you,
guns
Mr.
out.
Poilievre. That's time. Mr. Singh, your question is about the RCMP, because you've got RCMP reform in your platform.
I would love to
What,
hear
in
this
your
guy talk
view,
about
is the
that.
problem with the RCMP?
Well, some of the basis for this is the concern that's been raised in more rural communities and northern communities that there have been some serious concerns about violence or inappropriate use of force when it comes to the execution of their duties. We want to make sure that we've got a top-tier police force that provides security and safety to those communities in a way that's sensitive and understanding of the communities they're serving. I also think what's very important is for Indigenous communities, Indigenous policing. This is an area of deep concern. I think everyone in our country should be safe. You should be able to be safe at home, safe when you go to work.
How do you do
safe
that?
if you take public transit.
How do you do
safe
that?
for your kids to be
How
able
do
to
you do
play
that?
in the local playground.
How do you do
and
that?
That's something I'm committed to.
How do you do
and
that?
The other area that I'm focused on when it comes to public safety is making sure we prevent crime before it happens.
I've been waiting for this. Folks, this is really cool. It's called the Minority Report, and we're going to take 3 brothers and sisters, they're all twins, and put them in a pool of water and let them float. And we're going to go ahead and them randomly go ahead and interject wooden balls to a high gloss shine that are going to have names on it, and then we're going to have people who resemble Tom Cruise. We're going to hunt those people down for crimes they didn't commit and throw them in jail. This is a very complex program. There is historical documents on this program. If you haven't seen it, you can watch the movie Minority Report, and we're basing our program off of that. It's going to be absolutely fantastic. While you're there, please watch my movie The King and I, where I was beardless, but I did star in that movie. Go ahead, Larry.
So the idea that he is going to, in some way, shape, or form, come down hard on crime, while at the same time, I think they're talking about having potential gun issues. I really want to know, if you live in Canada, if you're familiar with the policy up there. Here in the United States, it's been ruled on in the Constitution that the government does not have a duty to protect its citizens. That's one of the reasons we have a Second Amendment here. Canada, if you have something similar, or if you've already had rulings where the Canadian government, are they obligated to protect you? Throw it in the comments and let us know. Thank you.
Yep. Terry Warner says, allow answers. Stop the interruptions. It's ridiculous. First of all, ridiculous is with an I, not an E. Second, I just want to let you know it's not ridiculous because we're not your cable provider. We are a talk show. And honestly, this is Canadian politics. We really could give a flying maple leaf, to be honest with you. But we're doing this because we care about our gay North Dakotan brothers and sisters. So we're going to make comments because this is what we do. Most people are used to it. If you want to watch the show in its entirety, you can go to YouTube. You can go to Rumble. You can turn it on your own TV if you're in Canada. But we're not here to, provide you a free service. This service is free, but you have to deal with the commentary. So if that's not up your alley, not your particular brand of vodka, that's fine, but we're not changing. Thanks.
Right. We want to see increased investments in our border security. We saw under the Conservatives, they cut 1,100 border officers in one day. So that prevented our ability to keep our borders safe. That stops those materials from
Mr.
coming
Singh,
into the
that's
country.
time. Not sure it was about the RCMP, but maybe we can get back to that during the open debate segment, which we go to right now. And Mr. Poilievre, you get the first word on this one. And it sort of dovetails on the last answer you gave, which is you have pledged to be the first prime minister in this country to use the notwithstanding clause, setting aside charter rights of, as you call them, multiple murderers. Why do you think that's necessary?
To be clear, I want to uphold the charter rights of Canadians under Section 7 to life, liberty, and security of the person. Right now, that right is violated by multiple murderers who are given discounts. The case in question was a gentleman who went into a mosque and shot dead 6 innocent worshipers. He got, according to this ruling, only one 25-year sentence, meaning he can be out in his 50s. He only serves 4 years for every murder that he carried out. That is outrageous. And I will use the constitutional powers that are created for this purpose to ensure that mass murderers stay in maximum security penitentiary for life. They will only come out in a box. We will also pass tough new laws that prevent repeat offenders from getting out. If you commit 3 offenses under the 3 strikes law I propose, you will not be allowed out of jail until you prove that you are drug-free, that you are behaved perfectly, and that you've learned an employable skill, and you've served a 10-year sentence. We cannot allow liberal crime and chaos to go on terrorizing our communities. What we need is a real plan for change so that we can bring back the safety and the security that Canadians used to take for granted.
Let me get Mr. Carney to respond to that. Do you think that's an appropriate use of the notwithstanding clause of the Charter?
Can I just say I am extremely impressed with the debate moderator. He is the time disparity is interesting.
Yeah. 3-4
but
minutes almost.
yeah, well, Poilievre is Poilievre. I do great over time with his name. Yeah, we're just gonna call him Paulie. He's got a lot more time now. He's gained a crap ton. It's almost a minute and almost 2 minute swing now because he was 45 down. So that's a pretty big swing. So he's up quite a bit, but it looks like that the Iron Sheik is pulling away from Bourgeois. So this is a very interesting time disbursement. But I will tell you, he's doing a great job of keeping them in order. And it seems like they have a lot more respect for the moderator than our guys do. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I was going to say I've immediately picked up on that. The moderator, nobody seems to cross him, which is great. I don't mind that.
Yeah,
and
folks,
he seems to keep everything moving at a pretty constant clip as well.
Yeah, he's doing well. Folks, we're $103 away from our goal. Just wanted to remind you, it's 9 o'clock. We would like to go to overtime, cover a little bit more of this, but in order to do that, we need you to help us hit goal. If you have the opportunity, and only if it is in a situation where you can afford it. We don't want people giving us their rent money thinking that we're going to shut down without you donating. We need your donations to help pay and offset the cost of running this stream. We are adding morning streams here shortly after the 16th. I just want to announce that. We've got some cool things coming in the future, but in order to do those things, we need to help with donations. So if you have a chance to help us, we would appreciate it by going to thedumbshow.com/donate. If it's your first time here, that's fine. You can donate. Or if it's 100 times, ask yourself the question, how many hours a week do you spend with us? And is it worth a donation? Right now, we've got over 200 people on. It's a very large show. That's on normal traffic between Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. And we have another 125 across our other Rumble and Wimkin channels. So it's a big night. And if everyone gave $1, we would crush this mother humper. There you go. Let's go ahead and watch the rest.
I think that the one of the core responsibilities of the federal government, Prime Minister, is to defend the fundamental rights and liberties of Canadians. And those fundamental rights and liberties of Canadians are outlined in our Charter of Rights and Freedoms, which is 43 years old literally today. I think it's a very dangerous slope to override judgments of the Supreme Court of Canada. In fact, the Charter...
I don't want to listen to Carney. Evelyn, do you work for Poilievre's campaign? Because even though we like to joke here, we actually are quite serious in the politics, and we do have a side that's professional. We're not doing it tonight, but we're Pierre fans, even though I struggle with his name. I always want to say Poilievre, but that's not it. It's Poilievre. Well, you couldn't say it earlier. I taught you how to say it. I'm just degrading over time. I'm shitty. Like I'm getting worse. It's like Alzheimer's. It's like a case of dementia within the show.
Old person's disease in Canada.
Well, I get a check for that. I heard it's an old age check. It's really
old age check.
You're an old fucker. Here's some money.
Canada's going to send you some crutches and a
try not to die on the way of cashing that old check, douche plow. Anyway, Evelyn, if you are a part of the campaign, we would love to get him on. I don't know if that would happen.
Part of the universal health care involves sending everyone in the country a tourniquet.
That's great stuff.
Oh, God.
Rights and freedoms exists to protect Canadians from people like us on the stage. Politicians who may use their power.
Why does he sound like
to
Shatner?
Override fundamental rights?
May use their power. Klingons. Donald Trump on the starboard bow. Spock. My God, man.
Tax more.
My God, Bones. I'm a doctor, not a gynecologist.
We need more regulation.
Where will you stop?
Mr. Poilievre, I should get Mr. Poilievre on that. Is it a slippery slope if you use it in this case?
I must say, I would be quite interested too, because Mr. Carney said that he didn't want us to use the notwithstanding
I know. It's called a joke.
Before adopting a law. And yesterday he said that he felt that it was wrong to use the notwithstanding clause after a law is adopted. So if we cannot use it before and we cannot use it after, it means that Mr. Carney believes that we should never use it, but it is very important. And the Ford case made it clear. The Constitution says how it should be used, but never how or what we will do with it, because it's the prerogative of the provinces. So,
I love
do you
the way he
want
talks.
the Supreme Court to overrule another judgment of the same Supreme Court because you don't like it? Because that would be being the hell of a politician as you define them.
Well, let me just start by saying, first of all, thank you. I just started by saying, let's not let Mr. Poilievre get away with making this ludicrous claim that anyone on this stage thinks that violent crime should get a less severe penalty. Obviously, that is not a special position that he's taking. Everyone agrees that horrible crimes should have horrible sentences. Judges are equipped to do that. So don't let Mr. Poilievre's rhetoric confuse people. Obviously, everyone agrees that
no, horrible crime should not have horrible sentences. That is the dumbest thing I have ever heard. Crime is not based upon severity. Holy shit. Thomas Griffiths, $100. Very much
Thomas. Very much appreciate you showing this to give Americans a different perspective on Canada. Thank you so much, Thomas.
Yeah, man. Thank you for the donation. We're only $3 away now. Thank you. Listen, crime should not be based upon emotional equity, because murder is murder. Now, some details of murder are more gruesome or more horrific or abhorrent than others. But crime is horrible in every sense, because without law, you have anarchy. And the outcome of not having a lawless country, I hate to be formulaic, is lawlessness. So when you say horrible laws deserve horrible penalties, no. Breaking law need to have consistent and fair and agreed upon penalties for everyone. And it doesn't differentiate between class, socioeconomic status, penis size, color, race, creed, religion, or sexual disposition. The only moniker that you have to worry about are a few. One of them immediately is age. Age is always considered. Age is always considered without a court, without a jury, without prosecutor and defense attorney agreeing. Age is immediately decided by a prosecutor whether they're going to be tried as an adult. And that is it. If you have a mental instability, you prove it in court. If you had justification, you prove it in court. If you had some sort of psychotic episode and a temporary break, you prove it in court. Age is the only determining factor that you get to decide whether to move forward as an adult or go ahead and try as someone who is not an adult. Otherwise, fair, consistent, balanced, 100%. And the severity of the crime is always determined with conviction, the severity of penalty. But that is not saying that every single law that's broken, that's horrible, deserves an equally horrible punishment, because that's not what it says. That is a kangaroo-style court.
Right. You would never rape a rapist.
That's correct. You would never sodomize a sodomite. You would never embezzle a blue collar crime individual. You would never traffic a person who was found who sex trafficked. That's not the case. It is not an eye for an eye system that we have. And Canada needs to ensure that you're not doing the same. And I'll explain to you why. Because what you see is the 51% mob rule use the law against the people who they disagree with. And it is not equitable. For example, seizing the bank accounts of conservatives, trampling conservatives with Mounties and horses. seizing guns or having the mob say, go after conservatives, and Trudeau affirming that on national TV that he is coming after conservatives because it's the will of the people. This is the difference between a totalitarianism and a republic. Which one is governed by laws and the other is governed by usurping the power of the people and instilling the will of the government against the people. You could even call it a tyrannical rule. I don't like that language. Leeroy,
No, I think you're spot on.
Okay.
I did want to add one thing real quick. One thing that I always, it annoys the shit out of me, and I can't tell you why. Whenever I hear politicians start talking about how rules and laws get applied and how crime should be punished, it never ceases to amaze me that they're good with the word accountability so long as it works in their political favor, right? If it's another party that's doing said crime, they will, go for it. But if it's a person that has committed a crime within their own party, then it's okay. So the word accountability is something that I just feel like all politicians just do not know, because they are all for accountability and punishment so long as it's not them. And that drives me nuts.
Horrible is not the way you describe. We have humane punishment here in the United States. Humane. You don't throw people, even though the way we treated the J6ers was, in my opinion, inhumane. The way we treated black people in the 60s and the 70s in prisons, and 80s and 90s, speaking of the three strikes law, absolutely inhumane at times. But our overall goal is to distribute punishment for crimes in a humane and civil way, no matter what the crime is. And that is where innocent until proven guilty comes in. And without it, you have an emotional-based system of government that delves out punishment on the whim of whoever is in power. This is the difference between a republic and a democracy. And if you don't believe me, go look up the Romans, go look up the Greeks, and we can go on for about 23 other countries who've tried to instill democracy, including Russia, at the utter abysmal failure that it was because they did not follow the constitutional law and the will of the people, and it failed. What's up? I did call it Thomas Griffith's big one. Yes, I did. You got it. Yep.
Does something horrible, they should pay a horrible price for it. There should
Folks,
be
we're only $3 away from overtime.
By a judge.
But if you have the ability, please let's hit our goal. If you have not had a chance, let's make a real big push, and we will keep going into overtime for another 30, and then we're going to go.
But what I'm concerned about is all of what Mr. Poilievre is talking about is after the fact. Now, there's heinous things that happen, and there needs to be severe penalties put in place. But we also need to keep communities safe. And that's what my focus is. Well, how do we stop crime before it happens? Much of the violent crime that's committed is committed by illegal handguns and firearms that come across the border. Now, Mr. Poilievre has admitted that as well, that it is illegal handguns and illegal weapons that are used in violent crime. So our plan is let's stop those.
So I want to, Jane, thank you.
Jane Bush, who donated $50 and says, Happy Yenny and Ash Day. Thank you so much, Jane.
Okay, I want to make sure I understand something here. I want to address something, and I got a notification, a couple of comments on this. Matt, why are you making fun of the Sikhs, his religion, and the turban? I have made fun of everybody on that stage equally. And that's all I'm going to say. And if you have taken offense that I am going after his turban, it's because it looks stupid. That's why. It looks retarded. He looks like Aunt Jemima, okay? It's the dumbest thing I've ever... Have one... Why pink? Oh, men can't wear pink? No, you can wear pink. And you can have a beard that looks like ZZ Top or that your Subway sandwich is lost in it. I don't care. But you're going to draw attention to yourself, okay? This is Canada. This isn't Pakistan. It's not India. I understand where you come from. I understand your belief structure. Kind of tied getting ready for Cinco de Mayo and tight-headed for Texas for the family. Joe on Rumble Chat and family gathering. Joe, thank you, brother, and have a happy Cinco de Mayo. I've made fun of everybody on this whole, including myself. I've been self-deprecating. Leroy's been self-deprecating. The only reason you're upset is because you feel that this person's a protected class. Nobody's protected on this show. I don't care what color you are. I don't care what race you are. I don't care what creed you are. When you are an idiot, I will tell you you're an idiot. And when you're an amazing genius, I will listen to you and become a studious pupil. But this guy looks like a complete douche plow, okay? Yes. And I don't care what his religion is. I don't care.
I'm more
I understand what it
so far left.
Yeah, and that's why. That's why. And I'm going to take it easy. I'm not even remotely leaning into him, but I've made fun of everybody. Okay, I've mispronounced names here. I'm making fun of Carney as an evil Mr. Rogers. Poilievre, I've compared him to Cumberbatch and waiting for him to say James Bond. I have no problem insulting everybody. And if you have an issue, it's your own delicate sensibility versus me. So knock it off. You're not going to call me a racist. I guarantee I know more Indian and Pakistani people than you do. I bet you $1 billion I do. 565 overtime. Thank you, Mel. All right, so let's relax, okay? If there was a black guy on stage, I'd make fun of him. If there was a man loving
hockey stick out your butt, have you a shot of maple syrup, and let's all relax and try and get along.
Correct. If the Easter Bunny, Cupid, Santa Claus, and a man-loving lesbian were all on stage, then you have an issue because none of them exist.
The weapons getting into our country in the first place. And the way we do that is by having stronger border security officers and having more people on the border. Mr. Pierre Poilievre, when he was in power in the Conservatives, they cut the number of border officers. They reduced the number, weakening our borders.
Keeping an eye on time
can't
here.
trust them.
Let's get back to Mr. Poilievre on the issue of whether, in using the notwithstanding clause under these circumstances, would be a kind of a slippery slope and encourage politicians to use it more.
No, we will use it to protect the charter rights of law-abiding Canadians. I'm interested in the rights of victims. Mr. Carney seems to be very interested in the rights of criminals. He says
we
that
just
it's
lost Twitter,
dangerous
folks.
for me to ensure that mass murderers stay behind bars for life. You know what's dangerous?
I thought Joe on Rumble Chat. I think my son might be typing. I thought it was Jesus. Jesus, thank you so much, and you happy Cinco de Mayo. Listen. This is a joke, okay? Let's not take offense. I thought Joe sounded a little white. See, Jose, get it? Ha ha ha. Jesus, happy Cinco de Mayo. Paul Rivera, $51.99 payday. Thank you, Paul.
Thank you,
You're amazing.
Paul.
We just lost Twitter, folks. I'm sorry they had an error, but we're gonna keep going here for a few more.
Turning them loose on our streets. I don't think you appreciate, sir, the chaos that is unfolding in communities. In Toronto right now, the police have been forced to tell people to just let the thief steal the car. When they break into the house, just take the keys. Just let them take the keys so that you don't get hurt. People are living in terror in many of our communities precisely because of the catch and release bail law, C-75, which requires judges release the accused at the earliest opportunity under the least onerous conditions. Very
interesting show. You know what, Kat? Thanks. We're really excited about this. I'm excited about. Listen, I love politics. I don't care where you're from. I watch the English Parliament all the time because I like to laugh at the powdered wigs and noses and roses. But this is interesting, and it's nice to see a little bit of decorum. They're not yelling at each other. They're not screaming at each other. It's actually somewhat civil. I just don't want the pink-headed turban guy to clack a vest. That's all I'm asking for. It's not too much to ask.
Single member of your Liberal caucus and your Liberal cabinet.
And Poilievre can wear a suit. I mean, and I'm not going to lie, Carney can too, but Poilievre that's a tailored suit. You can, even right here, you can look at Carney and look at his inseam here and look at the gap in between the tie, but Poilievre has none. He's perfect. He's got his double Windsor tight. This guy's a snappy dresser. I like it. Not going to lie.
In favor of this bill, and they are all determined to keep it in place despite constant promises to the contrary. Mr. Carney, Canadians deserve to live in peace and security. That is the right that I'm fighting for a change.
I'm fighting for that as well. And let me be specific about two things that have been raised. The first is with respect to these issues of car theft, home invasion, and I'll use the GTA area where there has been sharp increase. How do you attack that? You attack it several ways. One, you increase the criminal penalties for that happening, particularly if you're part of a gang, particularly if you use a firearm.
And you will do that?
And we're doing so. We've committed to doing so. You put in place a reverse onus in terms of bail so that it has to be proven that there's not a risk, which we've also committed to. And then you go to what Mr. Singh was talking about, which is we have to reinforce our frontiers. That's why we're committing to an extra 1,000 Canada Border Service agents, an extra 1,000 RCMPs. That's why, as part of the broader fentanyl initiative, where we've added to the RCMP there, we've added drones, we're adding helicopters, we're adding surveillance, and we're going to the other end of the chain with respect to car theft.
So let me make sure I understand. So, Tuner, you're telling me that conservatives, the question that Singh asked Poilievre is, why did conservatives decrease border protection in Canada? So I've got a couple questions for you. And why did he dodge the question? I don't know if he dodged the question. Who's border protection control of? Isn't the federal government? When's the last time Republicans? When's the last time Republicans have had control of the federal government in Canada? What, 2015 since Trudeau? So they haven't had control in 10 years. So I guess you're blaming whom? Every time I've heard Poilievre speak, he absolutely 100% tighter immigration, strong enforcement at the border crossings, faster deportation on criminals. It's always liberals, and it's Trudeau who I've heard. And now Carney, they are completely open for are against loophole enforcement. They delay deportations, embrace open borders. They're very much like the liberals here. And we can say maybe that they vote against certain bills that had pork barrel politics in it or frivolous spending, like all liberals do. And instead of doing single issue bills, do omnibus type bills that make them strike down more border enforcement because of the other spends. It's a tactic that all the liberals do. But these are the policies of liberals that created your border crisis, not conservative cuts. Didn't Trudeau offer asylum for all Trump supporters in 2017? Something like maybe 18? I mean, is it
that's correct?
Isn't that an open border type policy? You guys got two federal entities. It's the RCP or RCMP or the CSA or whatever it is. You've got two border enforcement. Those are not federally are run by conservatives. Those are liberal appointed leadership. Those are appointed positions, if I'm not mistaken. So no, I don't think that Poilievre dodged the question.
You know, a lot of times when they have these debates, Matt, everyone should see it as this is an interview for a job, right? These guys are supposed to be vying for the leader of their respective country. Something that Singh just said really bothers me. He looked directly at the conservative people that are up on that stage and said, "You can't trust them." He said on camera to the public, "You can't trust those people." And yet, right? It wasn't that long ago. I think it was 2023. There was a British Columbian woman who was arrested for posting racially offensive material on her social media page. They arrested her for her free speech. They were talking about the housing crisis, right? But it's a crisis that is a self-inflicted financial wound. Back in 2023, there was falls right on the heels of C-16. That's what made Jordan Peterson famous. There was a British Columbian father who broke a ban on pronunciation of his transgender son's identity in court, and he was sentenced to jail time. So for everyone who's pointing fingers at all of the liberals up there, those are the people that are imposing all of these psychotic rules, right? That's what progressivism looks like. You have to call that person this name. You can't post that. You're not allowed to defend yourself with that particular kind of gun. You need to give that over to us. We'll protect you. Right? This is the kind of stuff that Matt and I have talked about in the past. If you really want to look at who is up there really defending the people, honestly, it'd be a coin flip right now between Blanchet, Croissant, and Poilievre. Right now, I would lean towards Poilievre. If you live in Canada, I would seriously entertain that.
Yeah, and listen, so Thomas said it's RCMP. Yeah, I knew it was something like that. I read about it today. The PPC, that's the populist movement. That's libertarianism. So, and we know what libertarians want. They want small government. They want less taxes. They want sovereignty for their country, strict immigration. Yeah, blah blah blah. They're not on the dais. You've got to take what's available. I understand you guys get too many parties. I understand you have too many options. I understand all of it is. Okay? I get it. I'm just telling you what I see. I agree with Leeroy 120%. I believe the two bookends are absolutely against the middle, and they should be, because the middle is the threat to Canada. Listen, Republicans aren't the only choice and the best choice. We vote for Republicans because they're the only ones who don't want to dismantle the Constitution. That's the only reason that Leeroy and I vote for Republicans. Because and the moment that they don't is when we don't. So, I'm just giving you my opinion. I can look up Bernier, and that's fine. But me looking up Bernier is not going to do us any good, because the representation isn't there. There's nothing I can do about that. So it's a waste of my time. And I can look up and fall in love with him. I fell in love with Ron Paul. So did Leeroy. Yeah. But guess what? It's a waste of fucking time. It's a waste of time, because his other policies, like legalizing heroin, they're not going to fly. That type of shit ain't going to happen. And you can't be an isolationist in today's world, because you're going to create the next Saddam Hussein. You're going to create the next Adolf Hitler, the next Mussolini. This is the way it works. You can't have an isolationist attitude. You got to have some military presence in the world today, because you got to slap the dick of people who are getting uppity. So I don't know what to tell you, man. I'm not against you, but you say over and over, I keep telling you, I have. Just because I don't talk about it on the show, you would assume that I don't respect you. Of course I've looked into it, and it's not interesting to me, because they're not represented here. So until they are, I don't care, because they're a Ron Paul. They're a Bernie Sanders. They're a pipe dream, because they don't have the support of the populace to get a seat at the table. They can't even get 12% of the frickin' votes.
Right.
That's all I'm saying. So I would love to see a libertarian up here. But the closest thing that you have to a libertarian is Poilievre and the baguette Burquois person.
Croissant.
Which is tightening
the croissant
security at the ports. This is what we need. In order to get results, you need to focus.
Okay, so Nancy Bell says Republicans support the Constitution. They deny and ignore the Constitution. Give me an example, Nancy. Give me an example of Republicans denying and ignoring the Constitution. Would you please do that for me? I'll wait.
Nancy Bell.
Nancy Bell. Ding, ding, ding.
She knew?
Oh, yeah. I've never seen Nancy before.
Huh.
So, Nancy, I would love to hear how Republicans deny and ignore the Constitution of the United States. Please tell me how. Please say Roe v. Wade. Please make it that easy. Please talk about deportations from the executive branch. Please mention it.
Whatever
please
you
talk
do,
about it.
Do not look up Article 4, Section 4 of the Constitution. Don't do that.
Please don't mention habeas corpus either. Please don't. Because someone who actually knows what habeas corpus means. Congress? What are you talking about, Nancy? What are you talking about? Are you talking about proposing amendments? Are you talking about overturning amendments? Are you talking about the filibuster? Are you talking about party members? Are you talking about what session of Congress? What are you talking about? You talking about caucuses? Who? Whom? How does Congress deny and ignore the Constitution of the United States? Please let me know. I'm not moving off of this. It's important for you to tell me how conservatives, and give me an example of how they ignored the Constitution of the United States. House and Senate not doing their job. What are you talking about? If you're a conservative, doing less is our entire party platform. So you saying that conservatives don't do enough, that's music to my ears. Ronald Reagan said it best. Scariest words in the world. I'm from the government and I'm here to help. So you telling me that the conservatives are being conservative, I say thank you. Next, what else? I don't understand what you mean, because you haven't given me one example. Them not doing their jobs is not against the Constitution. What job are you referring to? What piece of legislation do you feel that the mass populace has voted on with a 2/3 majority of the states in order to propose an amendment? Please tell me what amendment, because it's not Roe v. Wade. It's not legalizing marijuana. It's not supporting and legalizing late-term abortions. It's not open borders.
$50 says she's going to bring up the thing that's happening right now with the gay makeup artist and the soccer player. $50 says that's what she's talking about.
Bring it. I've got my Constitution right here. I'm ready to rock and roll. Please tell me what section of the Constitution of the United States are you referring to when you say Congress, specifically conservatives, are ignoring the Constitution of the United States? Just let me know. I'm ready. I'm ready to go. I'm not angry. I'm not mad. I'm not coming at you. I want to have an answer. Did you let the hat and the tattoos and the t-shirts fool you? Did you look at Leeroy and goes, oh, he looks a little smooth brain? I get it. I look at him all the time and I think that.
That's not nice.
Highly accurate and not nice. Why did you call me old pay too? Old pay guy. Just give me an answer. What part of the Constitution are conservatives not following? Please let me know. Because I have to move on if you don't hurry up. Do you want to talk about the El Salvador? What's that? Leeroy, you got to go?
I was going to say I have to be on time tonight.
Get out of here. Love you. Leave. Goodbye.
You sure?
Say goodbye to everybody. Tell them you love them.
I do love everyone. And before I leave, just give me 30 seconds. Thank you to everyone who's been watching. Canadian politics is one of those amazing things that I think I'm going to start watching more of. Thank you to Still Point. Thank you to Wimpkin. Thank you to Amy Stancombe. She always does a great job moderating, and I cannot wait to be around on May the 16th when we talk to the author or the owner of A Right to Heal. So thank you very much. I love you guys. I'm going to go.
See you, buddy. Hey, great show tonight. Thanks for the commentary. It's been great. I love our Tuesdays and Thursdays, buddy.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Get out of here, smooth. Get out of here, smooth brain. So he's out. So Nancy, I guess I don't get an answer. It's only been 4 years that I've been waiting for an answer. 4 years that I've been waiting for somebody to come on and explain to me how conservatives don't follow the Constitution. Listen, I'm going to make it clear as day. And I know you're still on. I know you're listening. And I know you've given up with trying to answer because you can't find an answer. Because unfortunately, what is really wrong with the government of the United States of America on all sides is that everything they do is completely 100% legal. With things like Citizen United, political action committees, dark monies, super PACs, special interest groups, it has brought money into Washington. The one thing that they wanted to shield, which is why they didn't make Washington, D.C. a state, they made it a district, where people would come in and represent the constituency, the citizenry of this country. And they have failed us. They have failed us for the almighty dollar, where principle and beliefs and the resolute words inside this book have been abandoned for a blend of cotton pressed at a certain level of pressure and heat with no monetary value or intrinsic value whatsoever. No gold, no silver certificate, no oil. Our dollar is worthless as tits on a boar. And the people in Washington have sold their soul for it. And it is 100% legal because they have hijacked our Constitution and now use it against us versus us using it to hold them accountable. We have failed each other. We have failed this country by allowing these demons to hijack the greatest country in the world and turn us into mediocrity. I believe that the conservatives at least protect the Constitution and are not dismantling the Bill of Rights. I believe truly that Donald Trump wants to clean up this country. I believe he wants to see America be a success because I can only go off the 4 years that he was in this presidency, and 3.5 of them were fantastic, and 6 months was an entire bowl of shit. And COVID had a lot to do with it, and I have challenged Donald Trump on his last 6 months in office, and I think anyone who's telling you the truth would tell you that he didn't do a very good job. He allowed the meltdown of his cabinet and the betrayals to absolutely derail him, and as he was like Caesar, surrounded by enemies. Well, he's made better choices now, and these people cannot be bought. They cannot be paid for because they are loyalists to our country. They are alpha personalities who are MAGA through and through, and we have to stand by him and allow him to do his job. And if he is not doing something legal, he has followed every court order. He is not required to return Garcia. He is to facilitate. The Supreme Court did not rule him incorrect. They struck down the federal court and circuit court judge who made this decision by saying that they would not return but facilitate, which means that if the El Salvadorian government wants to return, we would have to facilitate that and go through another court hearing for deportation, which he has already been found to be deported by 2 judges. Now, whether the United States overstepped its bounds is completely something to ask a question of, but here's the thing. I ask you, do you really want this guy back? Is that what you're saying? You want to bring an MS-13 gang member, who he most assuredly is. We're getting all the facts now on him with his relationship with his wife, with his associations, with the accusations of trafficking and the other violent crime he's done, and not been charged with a crime, mind you, and has violated the terms of his stay in the United States and has been cited for deportation, and the United States government went ahead and did that. Whether you believe that violates due process, the Supreme Court said it wasn't. It was a bureaucratic oversight. It was a paperwork error. But they are not responsible for returning him. And honestly, I don't want him in our country because in the end, he is guilty of a crime. He is an illegal. Period. The answers are too numerous. Let's name one. See, when you call fear-mongering, you mean facts because you don't have one thing, Nancy, not one. You can't even name one. The list is too severe. It's too long. It's too numerous. It's too numerous to name one thing. I'm sorry I frighten you. I'm sorry facts frighten you. But the difference is, you know what frightens me more? Is people who espouse that they know what they're talking about when they have absolutely no clue. That would be you, Nancy. No, I have a job and a partner that also has a job that can be affected negatively, so it's not fake profile. It's protecting those in my home. Good try on that, though. I don't know what we're talking about. There is no point in having a discussion with people who are this ignorant, and you're not attacking people sounds really ugly, by the way. Peace out. Your cowardice is ugly. Your childish pontification, you espousing that I'm somehow evil or wrong or scary, is because you're afraid of conversation that contradicts your own. You're afraid of having anyone challenging you, and you don't know how to combat it. You're afraid of fear itself. And that has nothing to do with me. That has to do with your lack of confidence in your ability to articulate yourself in a clear and concise manner. If you believe that I'm truly all the things that you are saying, then that would mean you're on the side of good. So make your point. 804-212-2208. Phone lines are open for you. But you won't call, Nancy, because you can't argue your points. You can only cast aspersions against me. You will insult me, and you'll do what you always do, but in the end, you won't be right. So I'll go ahead and be scary. You be a coward. M. Latier later says executive orders to enact law that should be made by Congress. Law? President of the United States is allowed to enforce the duties and process of the powers of the executive branch. And that is protecting the sovereignty of this country. The moment that he went ahead and declared MS-13 as a terrorist group, it becomes his authority to protect the United States and defend the Constitution of the United States. He has deportation rights. He is the law of the land. He is the executive branch, and he enforces the law set by Congress. Congress is responsible for providing the funds and the pieces of legislation. Then the president uses executive orders to cut the red tape to get those things done, because the bureaucracy inside Washington is slow-moving and often at a stalwart at times. The Founding Fathers understood this. So the executive branch has the power and enumerated powers on executive orders. If those executive orders are unconstitutional, the Supreme Court is responsible. The SCOTUS, Supreme Court in the land, is responsible for either striking those down or making changes and amendments based upon what was put forth. It has nothing to do with Congress. An executive order isn't a law. An executive order is a direction to use the Department of Justice and Department of Defense to protect our country. You're just upset by it. Amy says, Nancy, it wasn't a discussion because you refused to elaborate. Not Matt's fault. Your monosyllabic answers was a non-discussion. Matt, read Burkle's original comment. The choice is Trump or Carney. That's it. If you want Trump meddling in all things Canada, by no means should you vote for anyone but PC. If you're sick of the orange Cheeto and ready to move on, vote Carney. It's time to choose for the right to democracy. You guys had 10 years of your Democratic leadership. What makes you think another 10 is going to do you any good? This isn't an election about who didn't do what you wanted. It's entirely about if you want Trump in Canada as the 51st state. That's it. So you believe that Donald Trump is going to invade Canada, huh? That's what you believe? You actually believe that? No, I have a job. And okay, good. We've already read that. Berkless, your comment makes no sense. Are you in Trump? Are you for Trump or PC? Do you know who Carney is? I don't mind someone being a liberal. What I don't understand is why you can't stand up for the policies in Canada. Do you believe you're better off now than you were 10 years ago? Do you believe, agreed on this topic, I'm Republican, both sides have overreach with executive orders. I didn't say they didn't overreach. You just said it was, I believe you said unconstitutional, and that was my question, and it's not. Executive powers. The difference is that Joe Biden usurped Supreme Court power, and when executive orders were struck down, they actually went forward with them, like the Obamacare mandate, like the Affordable Care Act, with like men and women's sports, with Roe v. Wade, with college tuition reimbursement, which was applying, they already ruled on this with Obamacare. You can't apply an unfair tax onto the American people. It was already ruled, and he went against the Supreme Court. Donald Trump's not going against the Supreme Court. He's working and doing what the Supreme Court says. He's just refusing to listen to circuit court judges who have absolutely no power to overthrow the President of the United States from protecting the country. I don't believe Donald Trump is overreaching with his executive orders. In fact, there's not one executive order that I disagree with. I hate to say that because I'm with you, brother. I don't like executive orders. And when Donald Trump did it his first term, I wasn't a big fan. But him dismantling Obama's legacy was a good thing. And then him dismantling Biden's legacy is also a good thing. But there aren't many executive orders that Donald Trump's made that I have a real big problem with. And some of them are just absolutely silly. But until the Supreme Court hears them, they're not unconstitutional. But everything that he has been voted against when it comes to the constitutionality, they have complied with the court's order. They did not tell him to return Garcia. And his deportation abilities were once again, he was allowed to. He just followed the order of the 500,000, the Obama plan with Biden, which allowed 500,000 immigrants from, it wasn't El Salvador, maybe Venezuela. I don't care. Wherever they were from, that he couldn't deport these people over that act. They stopped the process. But what you're saying is, and if you take a look at 2017, you want to take a look at Obama, you want to take a look at Biden, you look at them, they have had a handful of interventions from circuit and federal courts, around 11 or 12. In their entire presidencies, 8 years of Obama, I think he had 17. 4 years of Biden, I think he had 12. Donald Trump in 2017, or excuse me, 16 all the way to 20, had 46. Do you want to know how many of them were upheld? 7. Right now, with the federal courts, he's already at something like 21. You know how many have been upheld? 0. So everyone's like, well, if he stops breaking the constitutional laws, if he was breaking the laws, then all of them would be upheld. This is a way to slow down the administration's job. And this is what the president's supposed to do. He uses executive orders to enforce the rules of the land. He has every right to protect the sovereignty of this country. He has every right to protect from all enemies, foreign and domestic. That is why he has the DOD and DOJ. I'm not upset at all, bro. I've been doing this for 3 hours and I am exhausted. Why do you think I'm upset? Because I'm speaking with passion? Because I'm speaking fast? Because I'm trying to address people who are making comments that just make no sense? I'm just throwing it out there, man. You obviously haven't watched my show before because I'm not upset at all. I'm just throwing it out at 120 miles an hour because that's the way my brain works. And I've got it firing on all cylinders tonight because everyone's throwing them at me. I'm not mad at you. I think you're right about executive orders. I think they've been used way too much. But I don't challenge what Donald Trump has done this term. I would definitely challenge what he did a few things in 16 and 17. And I absolutely take issue with what he did during COVID. But I will tell you, he also wrote and revised over 832 pieces of legislation through executive order, and these were under emergency powers under COVID, that limited and reduced the amount of regulation on testing of drugs, on PPE, on releasing funds, on research in order to find some way to combat COVID. Donald Trump did a lot through executive order. So I'm not upset. You just don't know me, man. What is it to stop the next Dem from making sweeping moves like this? Well, that's why you have to go. Okay, you kind of have to fill the holes. This is like the kid at the dam plugging up, all their fingers in the holes of the dam. There's a lot of things. You're absolutely right. The next president who comes in, if they're not a Republican, will simply just write over these things. But you need to go ahead and kind of crack a few eggs before you make an omelet. You got to get some things in place and get motion on things in order to get the public opinion to support you, which means bring down the price of eggs, bring down the price of energy, see that the economy and the GNP is increased, see that the stock market stabilizes, geopolitical situations, conflicts overseas, all of these things slim down. When that happens, you get the faith of the public. And when you have the faith of the public, you have the poll numbers where the Democrats will be forced to play ball. This is the way this works. You understand this. You're a smart guy. Oh, my humidifier is steaming. Look at that. It's going off. I didn't know it shows up that much. So that's all. That's all. So it's a matter of you have got to build goodwill. You have got to get the numbers. And once you get that, you can start moving legislation forward. But you're not going to get broad sweeping legislation with a lead of 11 people in the House. You have the Freedom Caucus, which was bucking and biting. You've got members of the Uniparty inside the GOP who are resisting Donald Trump. But overall, every piece of legislation that they have proposed, they have stood shoulder to shoulder. It's the first time Republicans have done that since, I don't even know, Bush. And that didn't last very long. So you're starting to see progress, but you're right. In order for this to actually make an impact, he's going to have to get legislation across the finish line. But you need to repair the holes in the dam first before you start adding water. That's the best description I can give you. I'm a Republican, but I don't have to agree with everything on the right. And I'd actually say I agree most of what has happened has been positive, but that doesn't mean they aren't overreaching. Once again, you haven't watched my show. I've challenged Trump more than any other conservative on any platform. There's nobody, either people are downright against him, which I'm not, but people who actually support Donald Trump, I have been more critical of him than just about anybody. I'm not giving the GOP a medal. What I'm saying is this is the first time the GOP has stood together in almost 20 years. And Donald Trump has made that happen. And if he has to use executive orders to cut through the red tape to get some of this stuff across the finish line, I understand it's overreaching, but you know what? It's really, really impossible for Democrats to come in here and write executive order after executive order and dismantle his border policy, dismantle the energy policy, dismantle the Iran nuclear deal, the Paris Climate Accord, spend money frivolously through USAID and through secret organizations, pumping money and hiding money from the U.S. government, with all the fraud, weaponizing the DOJ, the FBI, and the CIA and the NSA against American citizens, and then sit here and say, yeah, but we need to play fair. You know what I mean? It's about time that we start using fire against fire, and eventually we'll snuff it out. But right now, I don't care how he plays, as long as he makes sure that the government and the power of the government does not increase. Good conversation. I know I'm not pissed. Yeah, does Nancy Bell, I thought she was leaving. And everyone keeps talking to her. She must have come back. Funny you mentioned the price of eggs after our discussion of regulations, the lack of registrations in your egg industry. Regulations caused you to have to destroy millions of hens because of disease? No, it was preemptive. That's not what happened. See, Tuner, I don't know why you're combative again. It seems like every other week you get grumpy and upset. Haven't you the one who been telling me to get involved in Canadian policies and now you're pissed off that I am? I mean, make up your fucking mind. What do you want? You want me to make comments or not? You say, I've been begging you to get information on blah, 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 and I do, and then now you're upset. Price of eggs came down because if you take a look, Joe Biden killed 100 million chickens as a preemptive measure. Most of these were quarantined in different zones, and we keep them apart, and we don't cross-pollinate between farms. It was a preemptive measure. And it was an overreaction. And if you listen to anyone in ag, they will say the same thing. So when you want to talk about regulations or registrations in your eyes, yes, deregulation of chickens when it comes to bird flu, and when you see nominal cases and our measures have worked versus bird flu for the last 25 years, slaughtering 100 million chickens just might be a little bit much, don't you think? Janet Gale says they speak emotionally rather than intellectually. Why do you believe that emotion and intellectualism are not synonymous? Why are you incapable of having an intellectual conversation but have emotion? I'm capable of doing both. I can play in both mediums. I can be emotional, passionate, driven. I can be factual. I can be intense and be an intellectual. Has anything I've said been to the contrary? And you might not be talking to me, you might be talking to somebody else. But if you are talking to me, that's my response to your statement. I can't see everything you say. Is that it? Gas went down, by the way. Eggs are the lowest that they've been. Gas is the lowest that it's been in the last 4 years. Eggs have seen a steady decrease. We actually had, surprisingly enough, prices go down by 0.1%, 0.01%, which is nothing, which is just a fraction of pennies. But it still went down. Last time that's happened is like 2017 under Donald Trump. So, we must have gotten shared to a liberal site or something, and that's okay because I don't mind doing that. But if you're going to bring the thunder, make sure you got some boom to your stick, because what you're talking about isn't doing it for me. And that's to the Bell person, whoever you are, wherever you went. You kind of jumped pretty quick. Matt, it was a reply. Cool. That's why, you guys, you got to understand, I don't see replies. I see 200,000 chickens. I heard it was 100,000. Did I say, I didn't say 100 million, did I? Did I say that? I'm tired. It's a long week. How many chickens did he kill? I want to say it was more than 100. Let's find out. And then I got to go because it's late. And Olivia's going to get mad at me. It was more than 100,000. I'm almost positive. Yeah, it's 166 million birds. But that's through 2022 to 2025. But if you want to look at what he did right before he left office, it was $100 million. That's it. Is that it? Is that all we got? Well, that's a shame. Folks, I want to say thank you for watching tonight. It was a good show. I'm sorry that we lost X at the... No, it was more than 2 million. It was 166 million birds, including chicken, turkeys, ducks, and geese from 2022 to 2025. 100 million right before, 108 million before he left office. And those were all egg-laying chickens. I knew I was right. See? No, that was from 22 to 20. I just gave you the answer, Kat. From 2022 to 2025. That's turkeys, that's geese, that's doves, that's chickens, that's geese. Did I say geese? From 2022 to 2025, 166 million. It was 108 million egg-laying chickens that he just killed before he left office. That's correct. And they wiped out and killed all of them. No, it was... Beefy says 12 million. I knew I was right. I said 100 million. It didn't sound right, but that's how crazy it is. I've got it right here for you. We fact check everything, folks. Bobby says, in Oregon, I just got 5 dozen eggs for $25 and gas is over $4 a gallon. That's Oregon. No problem, Mel. Yes, my feed froze, so I have no idea what Matt said either. Most of the Democrats I've talked to always go with emotions. Thanks, Janet. I wasn't trying to come down on you. I just didn't know if you were talking to me or talking to someone else. Matt and Dumbs, thank you for entertaining Canadian politics. At least you're happy. Seems like Tuner isn't happy. Tuner's upset with me. And you know what? That's fine. But whatever. You know, I don't care. It's not my job to make you happy. My job is to give you the news. And I watched your debate and wanted to provide you my thoughts, and I did. You weren't happy with that coverage. That's cool. Good luck to your hockey team. I hope you do well. I hope you keep coming by. If you decide not to, that's your choice. You know what I mean? That's your choice. May 16th, folks, got a big night planned for you. This Monday, we've got T.S. Dixon stopping by. And T.S. Dixon is the author of The Woke Mind Virus. We're going to have a copy of this book. I'm going to be reading it on Monday. If you would like to stop on by on Monday, you're going to be able to meet Mr. Dixon. I'll tell you all about the book. Hold on a second. Matt, love you. You know it. Yes, I'm combative, but you have brought the shit as usual. I'm not upset. I'll take it all as usual. Okay, good. I hope so, because I love you, brother. Leafs and Avs Cup final. Okay. Great show, Matt and Leeroy. Night Dummies, awesome show tonight. Hey, no, it's okay. Listen, Tuner's a good friend, and I love him. And I love you guys. But I don't care if we disagree. I just don't care. It's not important to me. I love you guys. But we don't have to always agree. But I'm going to give you information. Thank you, Joanne. I'm going to give you information. And sometimes you're not going to like it. But I had fun tonight. I love talking about Canadian politics. What I really had fun with was that everyone contributed, everyone helped, and we got to a great conclusion. Stop on by Monday. Go over to the Dumb Show. Pick yourself up a Wimkin hat. Go over to Wimkin and register as well. Do me a favor. Go hug a Canadian. They need it. Sorry about Twitter. We'll be back tomorrow night. Red Friday. Olivia and myself will be in the house. We cannot wait to stop being such a bitch when I call you out. I'm not a bitch. You just don't like losing, and you're wrong. You made a flippant comment about eggs, and you were totally fucking wrong. You landed on your face. So I don't know. If you mean bitch by being right and you being wrong, sure, I'm a bitch. Talk to you guys tomorrow night. We'll be here on Friday. Libby and I. See you at 7 o'clock. Bye.
Adjusting transmitter output.
This is the Don't Unfriend Me Show with your hosts, Matt, Leeroy, Amy, and Olivia. Geopolitics, military analysis, and election coverage. Coming to you live on all major social media channels at The Dumb Show. Honest, direct, unfiltered. We can agree, we can disagree. Just don't unfriend me.